Okay, welcome back to Métropole Grid. My name is Andre. Hopefully you're doing well. It's October 3rd. October already. Daylight savings. Next month, I think. It's Thanksgiving this week here in Canada. It's Worlds next week. It's a busy time. And I'm kind of gross. Woke up this morning. We don't have water. It's something we should have known. They warned us about this because they've been working. Mind you, huge construction noise outside. Only I can hear it. Only going to be my problem exclusively today. And I haven't had a shower today. I feel pretty gross. I should have shaved. I just feel swampy. I'm swampy. How's everyone doing? That magnificent mustache. Cinderin, thank you. Yo, Joe, remember about the stream today? How's it going? Welcome to the stream. Yeah, Tuesday streams have been really fun. We're gonna do some recaps or some tournament stuff. We have a replay submission to go through that looks like it's gonna be a fun one. I haven't seen it yet. Yo, Jad, getting used to the good Tuesday stuff quickly. Yeah, Tuesday streams are sick. They're really good. David Howdy from Hawaii, 6:30 a.m. Good morning. What are you doing there at sunrise? You gotta see the sun come up, huh? How's the move to Hawaii been, right? Like, I imagine I'm making this up a bit, but I imagine, like, let's just go and move to Hawaii is like some tangent attached to the American dream where, like, you know, the American dream failed, and then there's still the American dream of the American dream, which involves island nation. Leon, how's it going? Tuesday stream, best stream. Hey all, how you doing? Glad you're looking forward to it. Izzy, hey stream, not around too long. It's a packing for the move day. Oh, it moved really quickly, but wanted to say hi while I'm eating lunch. Yo, enjoy your lunch. Good luck at the move. That seems really exciting. Izzy's doing some moving. Been on that for a while. Hopefully you're doing okay. Hopefully that move gets all right and you get settled in and you find a new place that will be a new home. Oh man, moving can be really, really exciting. Glad it's working out. Andre, this is the best name for a stream ever. I genuinely didn't like it. I had to Google it to be like, I hope this is not a word that means something. It might actually, but with the hyphens, I've destroyed all sense of meaning. More bad puns, please. Oh, you know I love puns. Veronica, very sleepy. Had to get up at 5:45 a.m. and just collapsed in bed now at 6:38 now. Oh, dang. Get your sleep. Hopefully you're doing well. Get some rest. Going to bed at 6:30. There's like nothing. Don't feel bad about it. You wake up at 6 a.m. That'll happen. Unlike David, who's up at 6:30 and he's happy about it, but whatever. We were meant to actually wake up really early today. Our little cat, Nanako, she's like, she requires not like medical help, but medical attention. So we basically just need to get a urine sample. She just needs to pee, and we need to bring the pee there within the time limit before the pee expires, which just apparently is pretty radically quick. So they can do a test to make sure like her kidneys are all good. And she won't, just pee in the little crystal that we gave her. It's not that she has a peeing problem. She just be like, that's not sand. That's not cat litter. I'm just gonna wait until you fix the situation that you've created. And so we took her into the vet yesterday and they said like, okay, we'll wait here and then we'll, extract the urine, which you can milk a cat with a needle. That's arguably messed up. Sorry about that, trigger warning. Or if she'll get, frustrated and pee on her own terms, which like, good luck. Turns out the cat is incredibly fierce and nobody can get near her. She's like the nicest cat, but if you leave her alone in a space that she's not comfortable with, yeah, kitty's got claws. So they said like, here, we'll give you this, which is meant to be a relaxant. You're meant to like give her it's like a milliliter of it in her mouth, like it's some sort of jelly, and then she's meant to eat that. And then you're meant to wake up at 6 a.m. and do that process again so that she's really chill, and then she'll come in today and then we can try the process again. We tried to do it last night. Horrible. And Maddie woke up at 6 a.m. She's like, nah, this is not happening. There's no way she's eating that twice, let alone once. Expired pee is a weird phrase. You get 10 hours if you put it on like in the fridge. You got 2 hours to just hoof it down there. So sorry about the cat pee talk. Yeah. Hey Eric, how's it going? Luckily streaming technology hasn't gotten smell technology. Swampiness is fully acceptable. Yeah, but I know, right? And now you know I know. The best stream time strikes again. VT, how's it going? How's life treating you? It's good. It's good. We don't have water. Our cat has won. She has won. She has outdone all medical processes. She's beyond help. So she's sleeping in the bed after having a pretty rough day. And we've all agreed we'll just try the thing again. We'll try the crystals. We'll try that. Because you can't reason. Vincent, how's it going? All right. That's the tangent. Sorry if that was off color. I wonder if you can put the sand under transparent container. Cats are too smart though. Yeah, I would not bet against her figuring it out. The thing is like, okay, we're gonna go even worse into the blue category. Like she walked into the crystals and she like produced solid waste. So she went in there and she's like, I'm gonna turd this place up. And then she's like, yeah, it's weird. And then for the whole day, she clearly was holding her pee. She would not return. And then we changed it. I changed it for her at like 10 at night where we're kind of getting concerned that like she's going to hurt herself if she doesn't pee. And then immediately she goes like a damn racehorse. You could hear her one town over. They were like, what, a water main broke somewhere? You're like, no, it's just little Nanico. So like she clearly was like, I'm not doing this. And I wonder at what level of discomfort she would actually, you know. Anyway, sorry about that. Poor Nanico. Sophie has to go. And she's like, she doesn't understand what's going on. She's a little cat, right? She's just a little cat. She doesn't know what's going on. Everyone's trying to help her so bad. Fingers crossed that your cat is able to cooperate and get some help. Yeah. The thing is like, it's not so much that we know that she needs help. It's just like we should test this because potentially like you want to get in front of problems before they are problems. And now we're just making so many more problems. Oh, I almost spilled all my coffee. If pets don't want to do something, not much you can do. Trying to clip a hedgehog's nail taught me that. Yeah, I can't imagine that going easy. I joined for a short Netrunner break and instead I get cat pee. LMFAO. Izzy, you know how it is. You got cats. How old is the cat? I think she's like 6. She's not like particularly old for cat age, but like I think she's at the age where she realized I do things my way now. All right, Netrunner. How's everyone doing? We will not talk about cat urine again for at least 2 days. We have a deck list of the week. We're going to play this on Thursday for sure. Actually, we probably should play this now. We did play against this last week. It seems to be quite a potent deck. The name, you know, kind of a portmanteau of those like, well, Laura's Mari type Crypto Crash Seamless launch decks, and then the, you know, Sparrow Brawler type lists. I like it. I think it's really good. We played some NBN, I think a week ago, 2 weeks ago, the Behold deck, which was like this, but I think less direct. This kind of forces the issue, I think, a bit more aggressively, as much as it's not on things like as Maze Amusements, but I'm just a huge fan of Maze Amusements. But we have slightly more ice. We don't have Behold, unfortunately. We're only running 1 Think Tank. Mind you, versions of this deck that like showed up earlier, we're playing 2 Crypto Crash, 3 Oracle Think Tank, and Crypto Crash is so powerful that I quite like it. Obviously, we're on Oppo, we're on Pivot, which I think is like the brand new technology in this version of the list, posted by Soham. And Pivot, like we played Pivot in our list too. It's just so good. The fact that this can be, and we're not playing this on Freedom of Information, which we pivoted for pretty gleefully when people floated a lot of tags. But the idea is that you can find your tag punishment, which is a lot of times a 1 of or 2 of. And tag punishment in this list is actually like kind of minimal, right? Like this is the sort of thing that you're seeing in a lot of NBN decks is like the tag threat is real, but the actual punishment that attaches to the tag that is pretty minimal. It's a singleton Market Forces and a singleton shipment from Vladisibirsk. That's it. Deck has no hedge fund, it has your digital life, it doesn't even have planogram, and then on top of that, it has Starlit Night. But that's it. It's like the tag punishment, it's attached to only 2 cards, which is so wild because when you play against it, it feels so much more oppressive. And I think we played against this deck last week, playing a really bad deck into the matchup. We were playing D-Res NBN stuff, and even that, like, sorry, we were playing D-Res Shaper, we were playing Rubicon Shaper, and even that, it was like close margins. It was like if the corp doesn't draw the pivot, we can float tags for a turn. So it's kind of difficult on both sides, but this deck does feel pretty daunting to deal with. And I think right now, I don't know, our Reality Plus is kind of in my like, this seems a bit pushed camp, where it's so difficult to interact with the corporation in any way that makes you feel good about pressuring. Because inherently, like, you play against HB, you play against anything, you force them to res their ice, and that's good for you because the face checks aren't as bad compared to the money that they're losing. But inherently, all the ice gives you a tag. So all the ice they res generally for free, right? Like they res, you know, ping for free, and then you have to spend a click and 2 credits removing the tag, and that's like way too much tempo. The fact that their ability is attached to the worst on-tempo part of your turn means that it's now a tag is a 4 credit and a click swing, which again is exactly what the deck wants to capitalize on. But for me, it feels really rough. Maze falls off quickly at game point. Yeah, no, it definitely does fall off quickly at game point. And the version we were running was running more think tanks. But once the think tanks got on the road server, if no one ran it, you didn't want to score it out. But it's definitely one of the ways that you can push out. It's also not amazing with Bologna because they can decide not to steal. But it's definitely one of the tag punishment cards you like. Hey, Technolance, how's it going? I'm about to set off for Pub Runner, so well timed. What are you playing tonight? Hey, Impermanent, also doing some NBN today. Yeah, we're going to start with this one. This seems like relatively close to what we're going to do. Again, it's all about pushing out as quickly as possible, threatening the crypto crash, seamlessing Bologna's. It's like really fun. You score out a lot quicker than you think you will. Tag punishment is pretty hard. It's cool. It's cool. No hedge funds means we're in for a treat, aren't we? It's not that bad. It's like Reality Plus on its own. The most expensive ice we res functionally is 5 credits, sometimes 3 credits, right? When we get their money back. And Reality Plus does trigger a lot. So it's more about like scoring at the crypto crashes. The Bologna's more importantly is an econ card, and our ability should give us like 10 to 12 credits throughout the game. So the margins are tight, but you're generally in a point where you're not. And I think the deck that we played last week was a bit worse, is that we had a bit more ability to, you're almost going to have enough money to always do the thing that you want to do. Because again, Oppo Research costs 0 credits on turn 1, which is great. Pip is the new consulting visit so good? Yeah, it's even better, I think. Turns out when your ID gives you hard gas, that's tag punishment enough. Anarcho, how's it going? Yeah, it's also just like any tag, even if they gone full tag me, that's like one of the big things Reality Plus is if they go full tag me and then they continue to take the tags because their ice stops to be, you know, pseudo relevant. It just encourages you to draw more cards, which means you're more likely to get your tag punishment. So it's a really tricky spot. But we'll give it a shot for sure. Seems good. Do you think there will be more in the next set? I think it might be possible because every corp got an in-faction tagging card. I would bet a lot of money that the Anarch that we're going to see in the next set cares about tags and or unique connections, and there's going to be Anarchs or runners that are considering tagging themselves consistently. Like we saw it. Again, the big part of the Anarch card pool right now that's not seeing any play is like Solidarity Badge for the tag clause, Iru, who runs archives to C2 on R&D and get a tag. Like clearly there's a lot of tag interest on the Anarch cards, and that seems to be attached to the identity. My guess identity is the character in a bunch of the arts, I forget his name, the man. He operates the chair. I'm assuming that's who the character is going to be. I've heard some really good rumors about what or like guesses of what it could be. Like you're considered to have 1 fewer tag. I think that's a really fun identity ability. Whether it also cares about unique connections, because we got so many unique connections that are like, I don't know. You kind of want to draw them early. So maybe we'll see more tech for that. But I have no doubt that at least the Anarch side of stuff is going to care about more tags. Going to care about tags more and maybe have more tag removal. I don't know. I think every faction having like weak tag punishment in faction is actually kind of healthy for the game, because especially if one of the IDs, like say one of the IDs on the set is inherently a tag me ID, it creates kind of a polarizing atmosphere where it's just like, oh, I'm playing HB. The tag identity is basically free value. And we saw that before. We used to have a tag identity that got banned out. And I think on her own, she's super, super pushed. Like her ability was pretty nonsense. But even besides that, it just felt so polarizing. Like if you're playing HB against Eliza, it was just basically text box, half of it was blank. It was just draw 2 cards every turn. But then once you were playing as NBN or Wayland, it actually did something. So I don't love that. And so I think that the fact that every faction is somewhat incidentally playing some amount of soft tag punishment makes designs like this a bit more palatable, at least if you ask me, because you'll have an understanding that there's a real threat, and it's not just like, oh, I rolled my bad matchup, it's a Wayland, I guess I die, as opposed to be like, if I play HB all day, just blank text. I don't love the blank text aspect. Oh, let's not look at that yet. What's the card with the man in the chair strike fund? I think he shows up on a couple cards, right? First Nation representation. Yeah, Liza's a really cool character. It's a shame that we didn't see more. Are you saying we can unban Liza? I wouldn't say that just yet, but who knows? Obelisk Effect ID hype? Oh yeah. Do you know what's interesting is we haven't seen an Anarch console yet, right? Like Anarch console would be really, really cool in the new set. Just let me catch up on chat real quickly. I've been trying to figure out this Inversificator kit list that was popular decks last week. Well, I think a kit did reasonably well in the tournament, but kit's a lot of fun techno. That's like a really, really fun idea to take to like then what is called a pub runner. Yeah. Hold on. I love tag punishment decks. That's what I ran back in like 2015 or so. Just got back, and thanks for seeing my local scene start revitalizing with NSG events. Yo, what's your local scene? Do you want us to shout it out? Good old God of War and Yarognev Mercs. I'm not going to try to spell it. You only missed a couple. It's not that bad. 1 fewer tag for each unique connection would be cool. Yeah, exactly. Something like that. Because I think those are 2 big things, unique connections and tags. And none of those came into fact. Like that's like one of my problems with the Anarch cards. Okay, this is the character. I'm not sure of his name. I think he's the partner to her in the background. Iru. Oase Pessoa. But like there's so many unique Anarch connections, and unique connections was something that was sung in a bunch of the marketing material for the last set. But the problem with so many of these unique connections is there are cards that you generally don't want multiples of in your deck, and some of them are only kind of useful at certain board states. So like Iru, who I think is Luciana's partner. No, Luciana is the kid. Sorry, when Popeye, I think Popeye is the character that we're looking at. So like, Iru, unique connection. Hannah, unique connection. Lago Pirano Shelter, unique connection. So there's so many of these, except so many of these are ones that you don't really want to put 3 of in your deck, but you do want to find one at some point of the game. So I would be surprised if we don't get a card like one of my favorite cards back in the day, Hostage. So a card like this that allows you to tutor your deck for a unique connection. So you can get away with playing multiple hostages and then pull the right connection for the board state. Maybe it requires you to remove a tag. Like that's a really fun thing. If we have Anarch cards that remove tags on tempo. So use Eero to like get information, then you shake the tag to push yourself forward. There's a lot of really cool stuff you can do. But right now, like the unique connection suite in Anarch is like total nonsense. So it needs a lot of support. Lago Pirano Shelter also is the character in the wheelchair. Yeah, they show up like, that's one of the weird things I think about the Anarch cards in the set is the themes are really kind of heavy, right? Except it's like very colorful, very like familiar. The whole family shows up here. These are a lot of the same characters on all the other cards. The strike one, like it's some of the most colorful stuff in the whole set, but it's like, you know, maybe that's the point. It's like, you know, working together allows you to overthrow. What eventually is for these characters, like they're being forced into death, like retirement. So yeah, I don't know. It's a bit of a wild pivot between what the flavor is and what is presented as sometimes. Are you gonna be World's End? Yeah, yo, Padraig, you gonna be there too? I take it. I am. I'm gonna be playing COS and then I'm gonna be casting. We have our schedules. I'm casting. No one's gonna be casting like the whole time, but I'm casting for both days. I'm really looking forward to it. We're leaving next week on Wednesday. We'll be there for a bit before and after too. Yo, Chinchlink, how's it going? Happy Tuesday. Chicago, they're doing stuff at bonus round. Awesome. Yo, check that out if you're in Chicago. Jai, how's it going? What's going on? We're going to play some Cockatoo Brawler. How you doing? Also, Andre, how you doing as well? Happy Tuesday, everyone. Hopefully you're doing well. I'm hyped to see tags appearing across all factions. Wonder if Bad Pub is next. I'd be really surprised if Bad Publicity is next. Bad Publicity is a really hard thing to get healthy inherently. It is really difficult. There's not a lot of cards that like interact with Bad Publicity in a way that I think are great. I don't know. I'm not sure. Like that was a big point of one of the early cycles of FFG. It was like, this is the spin cycle. So Bad Publicity is going to be really called into question. And like, it totally failed, but early FFG sets are a bit flat. Stab also, how's it going? Backload as well. Was good. Off-campus apartment was fun. I loved off-campus apartment. It was one of my favorite engines. And then you played into somebody playing best defense and your whole day was over. And it felt so unfair. And it is the sort of card that like gave me so much I don't know, reticence to like play any of those ambitious like different engines, because they're just like, oh, if they play best defense, which they could be, you lose the game on the spot. Have fun. Malik, how's it going? So happy to finally caught you. You've been missing these games on your stream. Yo, how's it going? Welcome. That's very kind. Glad you can make it in. Yeah, we've been streaming now twice a week. It's been good. We just finished all the commentary for all of Can Nats. There's a bunch more videos. I'm pretty sure I'll be able to have them all out so they come out while we're at Worlds and traveling. So they'll just be like content on the channel, as much as there won't be streams. There'll be a stream on Thursday and a stream next Tuesday, but then there won't be streams for about, I think 2 weeks, if I'm not mistaken. So it'll be a bit quiet here, but it won't because there'll be videos, right? Heck yeah. I'm excited for Anarch. Any ideas on the 2 more corp IDs? Wayland doesn't have a reason to do what they're doing. We need to figure out a reason. I'm assuming Wayland's going to care about archives, considering we saw like really weird economy pieces like armed asset retrieval and expendable mechanic. So I think they're going to care inherently about archives. So expendable will probably see even more support. What else are we missing? HB. Oh, HB will care about derezzing ice. That's my guess. They'll care about rezzing and derezzing stuff. So like once per turn, you can derez something to gain a credit or gain 2 credits, or like to lower the cost of a card you play or install cost, you can derez one of your cards. So then you have like synergy with Harmonics from the last cycle and then synergy with a Stegodon and all the other stuff. That's my guess. Can't not miss Hero Worlds. That's what I was hoping to hear. Yo, Patrick, it's super cool. Excited to run into you. Hey, Ben Hamill, how's it going? Andre's telling the future now? No, these are guesses. I'm not NSG. I have no idea what's going on. But like, I think a lot of the stuff you can look at their marketing material. And this is like the biggest thing to me is like, after a set has come out, is like going back to read the marketing material from that set to realize like how obvious they were about certain things. Like, I think if we were a bit more clever, we could have guessed certain things about, you know, like we were, you know, I think it was a pretty safe guess that we'll have hard-hitting news based on threat. On that note, I'm pretty sure at some point we're going to see diversion of funds based on threat. Like, I think we're going to see a very powerful HQ run card that scales off of threat. I think it's something that's quite necessary. I don't think diversion of funds is like very good, but like It's doing okay right now, but you know what I mean? I feel like Threat opens up so many of these ways to make powerful cards that can be core to factions that, again, don't blow you out turn one. And Diversion of Funds and Account Siphon, you know, could be more interesting on Threat, that's for sure. Lago Parana is a very major artificial lake in Brasilia, also a very cool RL reference. I have a question. I've been trying to lift a meta up in a country that doesn't have one. What decks would you recommend to reintroduce people to Standard after they left FFG sets? So System Gateway Henrique is like the best by a mile. Yo, it's Laura from Laura's Mari. Sorry, 1 second. So that's really good. System Gateway is really good. There's a project called, I think, Project Crow that I'm not too familiar with, which Lost Geek put together that are meant to be starter decks that go from, that go from System Gateway and then eventually evolve. It'd be like, okay, now change these cards, and they slowly transition into like Standard. I hear that's a really good thing to do. I've never done it. In New York, they're running Subway, crowded subways in a couple weeks. Yeah, I think a couple folks from my area are considering coming down for subways. So as long as he had calling favors first, it was all good. This hand is pretty reasonable. We think Lou's gonna imp it up. We have Funhouse into Rashida, which is like kind of the worst dice for us to jam early. It's nice to get rezzed. We're assuming Lou's gonna be on 3 imps, Audrey, that whole engine. Otherwise, this hand is like, we have the Oppo. It could get imped as soon as turn 1. Like, holding this, if we do Funhouse into Rashida and then Rashida gets trashed, I think we lose the game. I think we can keep this hand. We're not flooding up. Like, we don't have an ugly agenda to Crypto Crash that we're holding for the first turn. We can keep this. Ideally, we get a better ice. Because this turn, we want to ice up the remote server. We want to ice up HQ. Yeah, that's okay. So here, I think we just put the ping, and we do ping Rashida. We might get imped in HQ. The only card that we really care to lose is the Oppo Research, but we could do Economic into Oppo this turn. We could get the Funhouse down. It lowers the density on HQ so the hits are a bit more ripe if an imp comes down, which is what we're expecting. And it's worth knowing that we're not on a single one virus at all. So viruses, we're going to have to deal with the old way. I'll just take a credit. Pink, I'm doing good. How are you doing? I'm behind on chat. Excuse me. Remember when Bad Pub was a WinCon? My old friend does a Netrunner. I gotta say, running the AMT stream last week and was kind of stressful. Kind of feel like getting a stream deck. Yo, Jai, they're really good. You can also now do all the stream deck stuff on your phone on an app. So if you want to try it out before spending a lot of money on a stream deck, and mind you, I have 2 stream decks in front of me, so I can tell you they're great. They're not necessary, but they're very good. Whoa, cool. Strike Fund, hitting Noom, Cleaver, Strike Fund, Bankroll. So we lost a Killer and a Fractor. We just have a Bankroll here, which is a really cool reason to be running, and it plays around Economic Warfare. Excited to see that. Cards like this are awesome. This is not the same deck. This is the deck list of the week. Jenny, how's it going? Same axis. Doing well, struggling to get used to Arasana using real breakers. All right, that's a Banhar. So we're going to get an Oppo off this turn, I'm pretty sure. I'm really behind on chat. Give me 1 second. Okay, so we can do Economic Oppo. That'll drop her down to 3 credits at worst case. We don't really have anything to put in the remote server, but I think we want to ice up HQ. R&D being open is fine. So I think we can do YDL. We can leave HQ open, let's be honest. We can do YDL for money. We do Economic Oppo. Oh, she didn't steal her trash. I am a monkey. I'm out in hard-hitting newsland. Excuse me. That was really bad. Is there going to be another neutral runner? I really doubt it. I miss my connections on deck, but I really needed calling favors to work. HB Blue Moon? Blue Moose, you mean? Maybe. That was a really scuffed turn. We shouldn't have done that. Although it seemed like everyone at the meetup last night was getting Arasana reps in. Such a Netrunner player, though, whenever there are reveals, they instantly jump to cards. What do you mean, VT? It says mysterious Eastern European heritage soothsaying is Andre's blood. There's an Oppo. Okay, so Osklet knows. Again, all of this is attached to the bankroll. Here we want a spin doctor to be able to find an agenda to jam here, because any agenda we could put in the remote server, we have, you know, the VSA. So we saw 1 Cleaver in the bin. We're just going to push this to try and tempo forward. If she can't make value runs, it pushes her off this engine. Banhar is pretty good into VSA. It's reasonable into ping. No worse, only better. I think more criminal cards that get weaker on threat 4 could be cool, encouraging more fast criminal plays. Yo, House, how's it going? I don't know if I love it. So this is going to be a tag. We can consider drawing here. We have enough money. Yeah, I'll draw here. That's what we want to find. Because now we have double barrier. So there's going to be 1 net damage. We got a buzzsaw. I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of the all-in on the early game stuff. Like, to me, it's nice that the early game is interesting. But if you ask me, would I rather have a deck that has more gradual like power throughout the whole game, or like a massive early game, and if that fails, you have nothing? I generally am a bit risk averse. I go for the second. 7 bad pub was win back in the day. Noom, okay, so Stargate, or sorry, what's it called? Starlight Night. Moshing, she's ripping through her deck. Price, that came off. So the bin hit a steel skin there. We've seen 2 cleavers hit the bin. There's a chance that the double barrier remote server is going to be hard. She also can get Oppo now pretty easily, so we can do install Oppo. Shameless plug, I put together a deck for each faction using Gateway and System Update 2020 and published it on NetRunnerDB using L2P, Learn to Play tag. Super cool. All right, so we're just going to do everything that we can do. So it's just 2 tags. It's annoying enough. We have a second one in hand, and we have a crypto crash. Admittedly, this is a bad crypto crash. So we'll see what she does to the tags. Yeah, 7 bad pub. How can you Oppo? No idea. So this is a VSA, which is lose a credit, take another tag. We'll take it. I'm really behind on chat, excuse me. No opportunity. Spin Doctor also baits the Oppo. I don't think there's a big reason to challenge it. Hitting a strike fund actually made a credit. We'll gain 2 here. I don't think we want to draw into an HQ access with snare with imp. Banner into ping is the same as banner into VSA. Yes. Ideally though, the ping ends the run to protect the Rashida, but it is functionally the same. Oh, you have to cross bomb. Four credits to Starlight Night is pretty bad. That's not terrible. That's like, it's okay. It's not amazing. It's okay. You're right. Looks like it can be an Audrey list. I'd bet that it's an Audrey list. We haven't actually seen any like Knob Curry though. Oh, we did. Okay, so I would think it's not an Audrey list. And leeches make sense. So just trying to get a good hit here on tag punishment. Gotta keep Oppo. Okay, probably want to imp that. She's 4 tags in though. We have a shipment from Vlad. So she doesn't know what deck we're on. So if she's worried about retribution, she should technically crack the bankroll now. Ideally, we want her to crank the bankroll so that we can score out the crypto crash and it's not ass. The other thing that we could do is pivot, but like this bankroll allows her to deck all the pressure because if we don't have retribution, we can't actually interact with the bankroll. The funhouse on R&D is also not worth resing. So we could do seamless quad advance. It drops her down to 6 credits, kind of forces her to use this bankroll. Not great. I think Bologna is the big way that we force her to use the bankroll. I think we have to do it here. We have access to market forces, but that's it. Like our tag punishment is actually really limited. So pretty bad crypto crash. Let's be honest. You could also trash Banhar. I think we could. It just doesn't really matter. Like Funhouse doesn't matter for Banhar. The VSA saves a card for a credit. It's not really important. At some point we might, but like if we're not doing it now, it's not happening in a bit. No SGP. Kyle, what's SGP? How's it going, by the way? I don't want to draw 2. Self-growth? No, this deck doesn't have self-growth. I heard that BSA bug is due to some hanging code interacting with the R+ pop-up. When the runner clicks continue to approach next too quickly, it bugged for Phonetry as well. Oh, beans. Same. Close prompt. That makes sense, actually. We'll see it, because we're going to play some Phonetry today. I guess make her think you're not running in tag punishment. Mind trying in tag punishment. She sees the pivot. She'll probably imp that. That's way too flexible when she's 5 tags in. Yeah, there you go. VSA and Phonetry will be fixed in the next J9 release. Lamb to Butts, how's it going? Good to hear. Just going back, second bankroll, so sick. So sick. This is how she deals with, you know, all this stuff. See, the subroutine is not going to really matter. Yeah, that's right, because it only fires on the first time where there is a prompt. All right, she knows that we have this, which is pretty frightening. She might want to lock the top of R&D. The thing is, like, once you're accessing, you can't crack your bankroll mid-access if you find the Bologna. So here we can't, we're not at threat 3, so we can't, like, pivot for the Bologna. But I think we can get a card behind here and feel okay about it. So let's draw for a nice, or for an, yeah. an agenda. I think we should just like cycle our spin doctors. So we're gonna remove this one from the game. We'll put back into the game. Oppo doesn't seem that necessary. I think we'll do pivot and seamless. I think that's the most important cards. Well, that's shit. So we could gain 3 credits for a click. That's pretty yikes. Market forces, on 0 credits, it does nothing, right? Trashing the Banhar, this doesn't do anything. Functionally, at some point, we should do it. I don't think we have to do it now. I just take the econ card. We don't want to draw last click. Trash Banhar, it's not doing anything, right? Like all our ice, the only ice that Banhar is going to be relevant against you is this wraparound, which, yeah, maybe, but we're probably just going to top deck everything with shipment from Vlad, so I don't know. I don't know if we actually need to. For cards to get back? Oh, it's not in there. So now this is infinite imp. So like this is where retribution's really good. But she is figuring out, draw 2 here is again a bit risky. We probably should take some amount of risk. She can only trash 1 thing that she sees and she can't steal Bologna. Oh, she just cracked 1 bankroll. Yeah, we'll gain 2. Do you think a misdirection near print could be the second half of the set? I don't think we're going to see anything as like, I want to say polarizing as misdirection, but I wouldn't be surprised if we saw another card that interacted with tags. I just don't think you're going to see a card like Shaper that, which is just like, oh, any amount of tags I can solve, because that doesn't seem like NSG's thing. NSG's wants tags to be, I don't know, a bit more granular if that's a thing. Come on now. Come on now. Come on. Oh, wait. There is an SGP in the list. There's 2 of them. Oh, man. Oh, no. Kyle was right the whole time. You have 2 X. Izzy just knows it, too. So we could have SGP'd a giant old bankroll. I think we don't want to lose this one to Imp. So I think we SGP the console for sure. You can have that back. I think the consume is a bit more annoying. But yeah, we should have known that. Beans. I think I like the ice a bit better. Reading list overrated. Yo, I looked at the list and I was like, we have 2 tag punishment cards, which I thought was a bit soft, but you're right. There's actually 3.5. Reading is OP, needs a nerf. I don't feel bad. We had a cool, exciting discovery. Labor-Rates, Buzzsaw, Labor-Rates, Fenris. Okay. Is it Odd-Beans? It's Odd-Beans, usually. Usually it's Odd-Beans. Tag punish is hard to fit in 44 cards? Tell me about it. And like, this is what I mean. It's like the tag punish is not like Boom anymore. Like the game's not over. And with enough imp pressure, like Bologna is not over. The big thing here, what did she shuffle back? Labor-Rates, Labor-Rates, DJ Fenris. Okay, Biobands. I don't think we're going to see a tag clear there. Let me tell you. We can consider drawing here. I think we will. Good. No punish. B1001, the ID is all you need. I do think the B1001 deck is so cool. I'm so excited for Cannets where you get to see more of that deck. Because, yeah, Kyle makes... oh, yeah, actually, you're going to see Kyle tomorrow. We haven't seen Kyle on the channel playing B1001 yet. It's sick. It's a really good deck. Pivot for 3 credits, can't do it. So we're going to ask Action, because in theory she can pop the bankroll. I don't think she has a huge incentive on. But like, we need to draw agendas. Like, Bologna in their remote server, we win in a couple turns. Should we try to score an agenda with shipment and spin it back in? If we had an agenda, yes. But I think there's a chance that like we should pivot for an agenda. But the thing is, if we pivot for agenda without being on threat 3, we actually can't shipment it at the same turn, right? I'm going to score this out because it takes us to threat 3, which means we can pivot into shipment. It's just that simple. That's all we're going to do. We could put a second ice here. It makes it easier to imp something. Whatever. We just want to hit threat 3 immediately. Can't wait to see all the botch triggers. Kyle, you're pretty good on triggers. You take a couple extra credits. You do take that 1 double extra credit, which you know about. I think you rezzed once B1001 for free. But like in terms of miss triggers, pretty good. Not that bad. You did a judge call once because you missed a mandatory draw. But like you're allowed to do that technically because of the other one. All right, it's a fun house. I think we're going to res it. Are we going to res it? Yeah. It triggers our ability. Whatever. You can't score Bologna in 1 turn with pivot and shipment, no? You're right, we can't. But we'll at least go for a crypto crash or just pull a Bologna and put it in the remote server. But you're right, we can't. Because it's double install, we do 4 advancements. They got the knob out of hand. Definitely should have rezzed. There's some respect here for Starlit Night, which we don't have. And mind you, we can only pull, what's it called? Operations or agendas. I tried the full starter turn asset package with FFDBS Balco, and it was a friggin' nightmare to micro. I just spat. It is a lot. Like, sometimes you see the starter turn triggers with his, like, 3 federal fundraisings, and it's an absolute nightmare. Imp got trashed off of Elaborates. Shuffled back Cleaver moshing. So, she is rebuilding a Breaker Suite. We have some interest to banner. If that's the case... Okay, we're going to score this out. We've now hit threat 3. So we now can consider pulling to be on 5 points in a turn. We can also install the Bologna, which is really important. So I think we'd have to bounce this sooner than later. Cleaver coming down is going to be a bit of a problem for us. I think putting this on R&D is acceptable. It doesn't really do much because this funhouse doesn't actually matter. I think putting something on HQ matters. Like, we can get this on HQ and then we can also just like trash ban her. That might be fine. Federal financing also good for avoiding warnings from the judge. It is true. I miss my mandatory. Okay, federal is your mandatory. Go. I don't think we ruled it like that though. Kyle, you also, I think, we're the player that when you do an R&D axis, you hold the card the highest possible. So like there's a bunch of your R&D axes that don't get translated on camera. Like I just can't tell what the card is. He's like holding it at above head height. Okay, Strike Fund to find a Cleaver, a Banhar. Oh, sorry, it's a Labor Rights to trash a Cleaver. So that's probably going back in. She only has 2 cards left. And the 1 Cleaver in the bin. So we're going to put back Knob Curry. This is like, you know, the sort of like value carving. You're playing a game of Dominion where you're trying to like trim your deck until it's everything you want. So Knob Curry the price. So final price. No more deck. Going to get the Cleaver on the table. Or a Knob Curry. This is actually a hard choice. Yeah, it's either do you want the console? Oh, want to fix? So now all the Cleavers are out, unless she has one in hand, which I don't think she does. Oh, all good. Okay, so I don't know if the Cleavers are out, but the Knob Curry is here, which is really important. So we need to like self-growth program this. Because this is how you get infinite imp. Now, mind you, this is going to fire. It's not going to end the run. But this means that we're going to eventually take cards out of hand. So if we hit a... Now we can actually trash the Banhar, and this might be hard to deal with. I don't think she's on Audrey. Pinnell? Nice. Okay, we fixed the VSA bug. Leech. VSA. Worst hit. Gonna imp it. Infinite, yeah, exactly. So we're going to ask for action here. Because in theory, we can bounce back this to hand, and that might be disastrous. Okay, so here we can pivot for self-growth program. That will return the bankroll and a Knob Curry. The other option is we can just put a barrier on R&D, a barrier on HQ, and then just trash the Banhar, which I think actually might be just good enough. And then we can just hold for a turn. Yeah, I think that honestly is fine. Because we've seen 2 Cleavers. I'd be surprised if the deck's on 3 Cleavers. If it is, we can, like, I don't know what we do about that. But, I don't like that we're not jamming. It's just hard to do that. Yo, Paul, how's it going? Mello, what the hell am I turning into? War Crimes? No, it's just the Sparrow Brawler. And Osclet, she went tag me pretty quickly. Which, like, you kind of have to with Lou in the matchup. There are probably multiple Labor Rights. Yeah, all 3 of them are out, though. Me and the person we do it are surprisingly at odds with this phrasing. Ah, good game. Yeah, once we get barriers up on everything, she can't break it. It was between the console and the Cleaver. Hey, thanks, you too. Cool deck. But yeah, like, we could not close the game out too heavily. We're like, even for, you know, going 11 tags in, it was a bit difficult for us to close the game out. It's a big thing that, like, maybe actually that's on us. We could have pivoted for a Bologna and advanced it once and then scored it out next turn with the Shipment. That's probably okay. But I think, like, eventually we do wear this down. Did a 130-kilometer bike ride over the weekend. I'm pretty exhausted. How did you get that far? Did you just go in a circle? Did you find the velodrome? Like 130 kilometers from here, man. You're You're in Massachusetts. That's wild. Let's do it again. Probably could have afforded a couple of draws instead of credits from your ID. Yeah, it was a bit scary because the imps were going on. I think on the axes where there was no imp threat, we definitely could have drawn because like Bologna was totally safe. So that's a bit of a cautious play on my part, which is the sort of thing that gets ironed out the more you play the deck for sure. 7 advanced Beal ends the game. Yeah, the deck doesn't have Beal though, but you're totally right. With enough tags, Beal gets there, but we neither have psychographics nor Beal. Took a bus to Mont Tremblant. Biked back. Sick. Yeah, basically got to what's it called? To Massachusetts distance. Hey, best of luck. Thanks, you too. All right. Okay, so we're gonna have to. It's Zaya. Not sure exactly what Zaya's doing, but we have a good incentive to get some ice on centrals. We have both Starlight Knight and VSA, which we actually can both res on turn 1. We'll put Starlight Knight on HQ. If there's a diversion, we res it. We'll use wraparound for our remote server. This hand's definitely keepable. We have the one most important full tag punishment, and we have a little shitter that if they steal, we'll feel good about it. Go. Interesting to see Oscillate run. There's a mysterious phenomenon where every time I use Defacer, regardless of what I was corping, I would end up dying to meat damage. No, Oscillate can play some mean decks. Netrunner du Nord is a really nice bike path that goes from Montreal to Montlaurier. How long did it take you to do that? 1:30. Okay, we have to ice up archives. Amaku is pretty good for that. Or sorry, Wraparound's pretty good for archives, but we wanted that for our remote server. We can consider pushing this in our remote server. I think we kind of want to. Actually, I think we'd rather have this stolen from HQ, because if it stays on the table, we're in a bad spot. Amaku is actually okay. Once it hits 2, it's like a problem because Starlit Knight's 2 credits, but at least VSA will be annoying. You're playing as Mario, the next one you'd be flatlined. How did I get there? Yo, sick. This is good. We got a Starlit Knight off. That's 2 tags. Very hard for them to recover from. They're just going to get good money off the Bravado. We'll get the money for sure. Imagine they hit a think tank as well. Dave, how's it going? Clear tags. Okay. So it's hard to be aggressive. We have a blown in. We're kind of incentivized no matter what just to get the blown on the table. Because if it's stolen, it's stolen. The only thing here is like Girdle can like run archives and then diversion. That's a problem. And we don't have an ice to respect that. So like maybe we can put a think tank in their remote server. The problem is like we kind of want to speed run threat 3. This is a wraparound, which is really good into turtle. I think I'm going to put this on the table and assume we lose it. It's a bit risky for sure. But like if we lose it, we're not upset. One day, 25 kilometers to the camping site. Third day, 110 kilometers. I regret allocating it that way. That seems like a pretty rough allocation. Yeah, this is the play that we're talking about. Which is not great, especially because we can't afford the Oppo Research after this. So yeah, we saw this coming for sure. We probably should have just slowed down. The diversion could probably just take cards from ID. I think we just want credits here. They don't have to steal this for what it's worth. They did. Oh, we didn't take a tag, of course. Yeah, if we waited 1 turn, we'd be okay. So I think we need to get this on HQ, click for 2 credits. Oppo is now online at any point, but we have to force them to trash something. And if they steal this, they're really on game point. But yeah, that diversion line, we kind of... That's on us. We probably shouldn't have let that happen. With a 40 card minimum deck, that'll happen more consistently than not. Had a blast commentating East Anglia Champs of the weekend. Yo, is that somewhere? Like, is that on a stream? Okay, so now we have to wait for this to happen. We need to get to 5 credits so we can do Oppo Research. So we could install this, click 2, that's not enough. So I think we just click 3 and throw this out because they've been running archives. I can't find the results for EAC either. They're not on always be running. Could have Oppo'd the steal though. We could have for 2 tags. We can't really afford the 5 tags though. So I'm not sure if we wanted to. It look landmine now. Observe what happens when we step on it. I admire your commitment to educational content. Yo, Conduit, so cool in Zaya, like system gateway-esque pressure, really good. Now if they clear the tag, really unfortunately we get economic war for them, which kind of, sucks. They have Amaku at 3, so we can maybe win here. If we just do credit, Oppo, obviously the whole game is in the deck. And like, I still don't think we can close the game out. We just don't have enough tag punishment. A self-growth program will go pretty far into Amaku though. East Anglian was uploaded to the Emergency Hedge channel. Oh, sick. Do you have a link? If we res this, we pay 2 to deny 1 credit. We're not going to do that. It denies an Amaku account or 2, which doesn't really matter. Okay. Like, I don't know how we close this. Starlight is live. HQ is probably super safe now. It's only 4 credits to break. It's not that safe. But, like, we don't have stuff. Like, we just have to hunker down. Also, Econ Warfare. Yeah, well, Econ Warfare there cleanly when they're on 4. And I think we'll trash the card draw. Draw boom. Working on it. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think this the meta that this deck was played in had a lot of criminal pressure, but like I can see criminal pressure being an issue for us for sure. And it's like so many people stopped playing Amakua because of Mavirus, and like I do think the Maviruses have kind of died down, and I'm not sure what it's gonna look like at Worlds. But like if you can just run over everyone with Amakua, like this, now they're going in. Like this axis is not particularly good because they can't steal Bologna. But we go deeper down into the cave, as much as the tag cave, as much as the loser credit on this doesn't actually do anything. But we could lose here. Oh, sorry. I'll update Bart tonight. Only just recovered. Hey, not Yeti. How'd it go? How was it? I'm going to look at some of the results from some of the tournaments this weekend. There's a lot going on this weekend. Turtles are coming back. Nature is healing. Exactly. Oh, Zaya made a credit. PSA, you had one job. If we have a blown on the top, we can recover financially. We have a wraparound on top. Bummer. So, like, we have to purge out. We just have to purge out at some point. But, like, we're not doing anything. Self-growth program for this board today would be disgusting. It buys you a whole purge. But now on one tag, we don't have relevant punishment besides the self-growth program, which we're going to top deck. Magnet's actually pretty good. Seamless is probably fine too. Wraparound great for R&D. I think this is a good enough on it for R&D. Like they can't really afford to go through this. Why do we put the wraparound on archives? So it keeps out turtle. Right? Like they can't go through it with turtle at 7 strength. So now they have no way to charge turtle. That's what we have to do. Now the thing is like how much economy do they have is not run based. We'll see if they're playing Liberated or Fermenter, because otherwise now they're entirely out of the game. Yep, that's what you expect. Just click for credits. Flip switch is nice. We actually might need the magnet for the remote server. Okay, so they have no tags. We need to give them tags. Our remote servers are wraparound. We haven't seen a boomerang or inside job. We have to be a bit concerned about that. But we're not doing a good job at anything really. We could pivot for a Bologna here. We actually probably had a window, and we can do pivot advance with the Bologna. We'd have to reveal it, but we don't have to install the Bologna. This deck feels like it has 4 agendas with how little you draw them. Yeah, we've been having a really bad time finding the agendas when we need them. All right, if they get into this, they win. This gets us onto 4 credits, which means we can res the funhouse. So if they do credit, inside job, we lose. I feel like we have to not lose to credit, inside job. But I think we're in such a bad spot that I think we have to take the play. Actually, we can just do that. You did a great job running the overlay and prompting us when we missed things. Okay, cool. I'm going to open up the YouTube link. We'll pull it up after. I just hold on. I don't want this to autoplay in the back. You see? Am I the only one who can't find the Cobra posting for this thing? Asmun Pula got thrown out. But they have a shibboleth, so at least it's 3 credits to go through a VSA, which is pretty goofy. This is 6 credits for the server. Okay. So they have real breakers. Maybe they're only on shibboleth because there's some VSA respect in the meta. Wolf 2 or 1 True Monarch. Hazel and Pula. I wonder if they're on another weapon. Or a weapon. Like, we've only seen viruses. It's a wrap. Get out. Yeah, that's what we put it there, right? 7 strength barrier. Okay, well. We had a moment. Okay, this is interesting. So we pivot for the Bologna. We do pivot, Bologna, install, advance. We can score it out next turn. The problem is on 4 agenda points, the Bologna and the remote server is like super, super risky. I think we just try and naturally find a crypto crash. Just a Natch crypto crash. Natch crash. Okay, we have one more here. So this server is hella expensive. This server is pretty good. This server is pretty good. I'm gonna put this in archives. No turtle. We're not getting turtled here. I wonder if Asimo's main include is for conduit. Oh yeah, you're right. You could just pull Amakua conduit. That's totally true. There's almost no card in the game that pivots that tutors conduit. Turtle's down. Carmen's back. We've pivoted to a real breaker suite. They clearly haven't found their console. If they did, I think you would actually leave the turtle. Because, again, a lot of stuff in this deck is pretty low strength. All right, well, if this gets stolen, we actually have a window to crypto crash. The thing is they have no cash. I think we just click for credit here. Just what are we discarding? This is our win condition. These two cards are win condition. We need at least 2 Oppos. I don't think we need the pivot. I think the Blona, again, is how we win. So I think we can consider just clicking for credit here and discarding a couple cards. So we need this. I think we get rid of the pivot and we get rid of 1 Oppo. Yeah, that's weird. Maybe not. 5 credit Carmen? I know. At least it breaks Starlit for 2. You don't feel terrible about it. Haha. You have 0 credits again. We're on 5 though. They probably can find a window to get some sort of value run here. Yeah, this is the criminal economy issues. It's like there just isn't money to do anything with, right? Like if you can't run, you just don't have economy in the deck. Like they just need a telework. They need something like that. Crypto Crash is so rude. I wish it was better. They have to run this or the game is over. But if they run this, they probably take multiple tags. So what can we res here? VSA Funhouse? We definitely do the VSA because it's 3 credits at least, I think. Consider spinning Seamless before draw? Yeah, maybe. I think now we Oppo. The problem is like if we Oppo, we're bankrupt. Yo, Paul, how's it going? Happy Tuesday as well. So if we res a Funhouse, we're on 0 credits. We also have a Funhouse. They can't go, if they go through it, we'll be on 2 credits. That's all we kind of sort of not really need. I think we res this. So wraparound is like a really bad res. If they take this to take a tag, they can clear the tag with the flip switch. So maybe they go through the Funhouse and pay for the flip switch. Yeah, it's okay. This is maybe bad because they're going to take a tag anyways if they go through. So we're like losing value on Reality Plus. Crim Teleworker is called Rogue Trading. Okay, we're on 0, so they don't have to run this. But now as soon as we click for 3, they have to run this. And we just spent 3. Rip Oppo? Yeah, it's fine. I'd rather just like win. So if we shuffle back a Seamless launch, we can do credit Seamless. No, we're short 1 credit potentially. 30 Laundry Archives? Yeah. Leo, how's it going? Welcome. All right, Group here charging up. So we could like use the Spin Doctor here if we wanted to. I don't think we have a huge incentive to, so we'll just let this fly. They'll be on 5 credits and they have to consider coming back. Nice. That's why we don't play Hedge Fund, am I right? Crypto Crash, I think, would feel less oppressive if it was lose 7 of Fable, or that it would make it unplayable, strictly unplayable. Because before they score out, you just boost your breakers if you really wanted to 6. You can't really do anything. Okay, this is interesting. If it's a ping, this costs them now a fair bit more, as much as they might flip switch. But if they flip switch here, they can't flip switch there. I'm okay with this. They've got their 3rd sub. Their 3rd sandwich is free. This looks like the win, right? If it was Rashida, we would have resed it. They have to run this turn. They didn't. Good game. All right. That is, you know, criminal pressure early game feels good. It does feel good. I think corporations are a bit soft to that sort of thing. They had more money than us. But like once you ice up everything and they can't find favorable runs, things are really bad. Like things are really bad. They did not play a single economy besides 2 dirty laundries. And each of those dirty laundries were just like a 2 credit econ card because they had to go through a wraparound. Mind you, they did get Kurapir counters in this matchup. They're like worth half a credit, a third of a credit, because I think wraparound's the highest of the highest. 19 turns in 13 minutes? Was it actually 19 turns in 13 minutes? Yeah, because both of us just like clicked for credits a whole bunch. Yeah. Maybe this at a credit threshold like Corp War? Man, Corporate War was also massively unplayable. I don't know. This card scares me. I'm glad people are playing it less because it's like one of the most terrifying things in a remote server. Yeah, cleaning your cards is super fast. Hey, Ian, it's hard to play 4-2s. They got to be good. Yeah, they have to be good. And like Crypto Crash is very good. It is very rude though. But like you saw in the last matchup, there's ways to play around it, right? Like you're gonna see this across Can Nats. Not that Crypto Crash was there, but like see how many Anarch players like keep money on their Liberated. You know, they're cooking a fermenter in their back. I'm just naming the good Anarch cards and telling you that's the solution, which you know kind of is the problem itself. But like bankroll, there's ways to play around it. You just have to offset or offshore your economy. Off office is basically Corp War when it's always on. Isla. Oh, it's Pink. I think we played against Pink's Isla last week. Augustus, we're playing the deck list of the week right now. Hey, Pink. Hey, thanks, you too. After that, we're going to do a quick replay review. We got a funny replay review, I think. An interesting one. I haven't seen it just yet. And then from that point on, we're going to do some tag-based Jinteki. Hopefully by then I have water back so I can stop being a greasy man. 4-2-1 score. Cast self-growth program. Yuck. Okay, Shaper's not very aggressive in the early. I'm not going to get into the rabbit hole of why I don't like Isla, but our opening hand here, we have 2 agendas and a Starlight Knight. So I think we can Starlight Knight HQ, Ping, and Rashida, and technically we can res all of that. And then we actually have agendas to jam. We've had a problem where we haven't had agendas to jam, and having agendas to jam is good because then we have the agendas that we can jam. Any questions? New remote, server 1, HQ, agendas will be jammed. It's nice seeing so many different identities out there after the recent ban list. I think Hoshiko is still really good and permanent. Like, I don't think it's going to change that too heavily. But this was an issue we ran into last week is like we were playing goofy decks and then obviously everyone's preparing for Worlds. Like there's constantly like 30 games on JNet. So people are out there playing the good stuff. I think Hoshiko has a big chance of winning Worlds still, but yeah. Favorite type of jam? I like Blackcurrant. Didn't you Singren do a whole thing on Isla last week? Yeah, he ran the numbers at the end of his stream. The numbers aren't great. Compared to like playing a 40 card, they're pretty minimal. Tag Jinteki brings back memories of the King's HHN egg. I don't think I remember that one yet. There's a lot of like really poisonous ag decks that I just like pretend don't exist. I might fall into that camp. Okay, we don't have a Seamless. But Crypto Crash is pretty ripe. One ice is actually, I think it's more important that we get the Bologna out. I just think with this hand, we don't want to dump it. So I do think we do your Digital Life, install Crypto Crash. I wish we had an ice here. So we could do install Spin Doctor. Draw, we're at 8. YDL, install, no, that's pretty bad too. I think we'll just put the Bologna, we won't even advance it. I just wish we had another ice or something to install here. Whatever happens here, I think we're happy about it. Eavesdropper Rover Thimble Rig. It's been a while since we've done that. I like that one a lot. It's really funny. Hush, no. I don't know how Eavesdrop works with Hush. Because I'm not sure if the ice gets the text or whether the condition has the text and not the ice. I think the ice gets the text, which I think Hush eats it. So like, it's hard to do that. Boomerang. Old school. Again, this looks like a Crypto Crash. Like that's a big reason why we single advanced it. So this Boomerang is going to be 2 credits and 2 clicks for no benefit. If it was a Crypto Crash, and like there's something huge to be said about, you know, obscure scoring patterns. Creative, nice, get a card draw. Okay, we want another piece of ice here because the cat's out of the bag. We can find one. It's better technically to open with this. Nice. I don't think we Digital Life here. I think we just advance it so we can score it out next turn. We can Digital Life at a later point, I imagine. I think we get rid of it. We have enough money. Any Stream Deck apps you'd recommend for beginners? Oh, interesting. I think they have an official one. I just haven't messed with them a lot because I have a Stream Deck. So I haven't messed with them, but I know they have official Stream Deck support. But I know there's an open source one. So if you like search YouTube, like Stream Deck, I don't have, can't afford, something like that, like those sort of like SEO terms. There's a lot of like open source options. There's a bunch of ones that will also work across the network so that any of their machines inside your own like system can communicate with each other, which is like in some ways more powerful than Stream Decks. Prepaid came down and Mystic a bit greedy. Again, there's going to be, I think, a lot of events in the deck. But I don't love playing prepaid any turn that I don't get value from it immediately. I actually don't know why we would hold the second pivot here. We kind of know what we want to jam next. Why do you yell into Oppo threaten shipment though? Oh, we can't Oppo if she doesn't steal our trash though, right? It's the, yeah, the window of opportunity, which shout out to whoever smarter than me said that in chat. I've been super behind on stream. Sorry. Thanks for the advice. No, not at all. Of course. Boo? Yeah, no. That makes me more powerful. I hate puns. I agree with you. I should be admonished. Rigging up? Ooh, Dawkins Pass. Cool. What's HQ ice? Oh, don't run into that last click. Nice. Okay, good money. Got value from all of our stuff. I wonder if we're going to see the twinning. I think we are. But currently the remote server seems a bit tricky. Starlit Knight's going to hold up on its own, I think. I think we can do install advances here. We haven't seen breakers yet. We could lose this, but that's totally fine because we Oppo. And I'm going to just ice up R&D so that she can't just lock the top of the deck forever. Yeah, actually, how's it going? Decklist of the week for sure. How you doing? You played a thing this weekend, didn't you? I saw your name in some results. I think you did well too. Well played. Are you maybe a nationals winner? Punning his life, Andre? No, you're thinking about doing obscure math to prove the dice is not good. Noom coming off of the Spark of Inspiration. So you could play, mind you, the Giant Whale, but we saw Steelskin. Wow, interesting. Rigging up, Dirty Laundry, Diesel, Rejig, Sure Gamble, Rejig, Steelskin, Test Run, Noom. So with Test Runs and the other card, I'm wondering if this deck has some... Oh no. One Finnish Nationals, no big deal. Do you see this beautiful number? Do you see from this number that we are going to erase from the ledgers? There was an issue with the public central ledger. Look, there were some issues. We lost some data. Some of the accounts were reset. I'm going to ask for an action here in case she, like, I don't know, can install something with Simulchip before we just take that money away. Ooh, that's bad. I don't know what she's sparking for exactly. I'm assuming it would have been like maybe a Fem, because Fem rejig and then multi-axis is like a pretty cromulent combo. Hell yeah, Axu. Yeah, well done, Axu. Archives run, nothing in there? Shalada, how's it going? Splashing Newman Shaper? Yeah, it's interesting. Pink, for what it's worth, she hasn't been playing for a while, so she's coming back, playing with a bunch of new cards. I think it's cool. Propeller. Cool. Not a card we see a lot of. Nice way to break through some stuff cheaply if you want to do also Lamb, I guess. Last click into Starlit Night with 4 credits. It is perfect. Now we can go down to 2 credits to make her spend 4. I think that's actually a really bad trade for us because we don't actually need this ice resed. Whatever we top deck, or we're probably just going to pivot for it, we're just going to put in server 1. And then the question is, can she break Code Gate into Barrier? Which she can, but can she do that without being oppoed? So I think we'd rather have her 4 credits so she has the chance of trashing a pivot, which is like a game losing play. We're going to allow her the opportunity to do a game losing play. Yeah, max value crypto crash feels gross. Worth noting now implies that they were worth something before. Sorry, Monty. Whoops, your NFTs are worth nothing now. Oh, I see what you mean, worth nothing now. Yeah, it turns out all the NFTs are useless. That's weird. Strange how that is. If you can pull that off, it will certainly embiggen your board state. All right, so we have to figure out how to get here. Propeller. The burst economy is like surprising sometimes, considering like, you know, we have 2 credits worth of economy. So like a Sure Gamble is a 6 credit econ card. That's like kind of hard to discount. We can pivot here if we really wanted to, just to get something on table. Lost connection, reconnected. Thumb long. Thumb long. I've said that before. Chonky, how's it going? That's not the first time I've written thumb long in chat. You want to hand is slightly out. It's the lack of water. It's really doing me a number. Okay, so I think here we could consider pivoting because we have all our win con in hand and we can pivot for, I think, a tomorrow's headline and just say if you steal it, you steal it. If you don't, like, it's going to be bad no matter what happens, I'm pretty sure. It's a TMH, server 1, credit, go. Dom long. Want a second copy? Fuck, that's just Dom long on it. I think I want to make merch which like very subtle branding that just says /undo click or /undo turn in the worst spot, because I think that's a really funny Netrunner motto. But the beans, yeah, there you go. The 6 credit virtual service assistant. That's gonna be a problem for us. Spark of Inspiration. Polangi, that's a nice way, as much as it doesn't say decoder on it. So VSA is going to have something to say about the issue. So she's going to end up floating a single tag here, if I'm not mistaken. Just why it's set your parasocial relationship straight. Shlata is the region I'm from. DD is my actual nickname. Thank you, Shlata. I've learned nothing. All right, VSA. So you probably don't want to break that with Propeller, Polangi, because it doesn't actually make any sense. And I think that's why Noom is in the deck, because it has flexibility with Polangi. Not that there's that much above, 5 or 6 strength, but I can see why you'd want to pursue that. She's doing it, right? Like, this is a lot of work just to save you 1 credit, because you're going to get the tag anyways, that I think you just lose the credit here. Right? Because it took a Propeller counter and a credit, so you might as well just lose a credit. That's okay. We get a tag. That's all we want. Shlata is in Sweden? No, you're asking where Dirty Deeds is. Dirty Deeds is the region. Shlata is the name. You might have to / close prompt. He says like that. Well, I'm out what? Okay, give me 1 second. I'm just gonna close the door because my partner's just gone to a call. And I want to make sure that gives its own privacy. 1 second. Okay. Sure, Plus was for draw there. I think our line is Oppo Research. You're right, though. Without the pivot, we don't have an agenda. But so maybe. I do think, though, 5 credits for an Oppo Research and still holding on R&D. We're going to need the money. Dirty Deeds, famous region of Sweden. Okay, here we go. 1 tag. We have Stealth Growth Program, so we can return to hand. What will be the most annoying? We definitely want to Oppo Research last click, so we can return some stuff to hand. Noom is kind of useless against Starlit Knight, unfortunately. We don't have Economy. We don't have Card Draw, but we definitely want to do some damage. I'm going to start with this, and then we'll figure out. So Onicom is pretty good. The Mystic Miami is 2 credits next turn. That's the most valuable thing, as much as we can trash it. I don't really care about Propeller. It's 1 credit to reinstall, so I think we'll do the Miami. The Onicom is like whatever. I'm not worried about card draw. I think I'm like, I don't care about the Noom either. Console something with recurring credit. Yeah, the console's like fine. The thing is, like, I don't think she needs to reinstall it. I think it's the most annoying. You're right, though. Okay, we'll just do credit. Oppo. We're on 3. That's technically enough, but we have to like top deck shuffle. So you want to kind of respect Spin Doctor because we can break it. Console's gas. It is. It is definitely good. Dirty Laundry. Nice. So we saved 2 credits off that. Technically 1. Doesn't need reinstall, but she might still do that. Yeah, she might. It's hard here. Like here, you just go tag me. Like I don't think you have the time to, when we're on 5 points, to start clearing tags. No, she's going for it. I don't think it's going to be fast enough. Right? Like we win on 2 tags, which means you just have to stop us from winning. Because actually, if we don't draw it now, maybe she's right. We can do it. So if we pivot, I think we need to get both pivots in the deck, because if we top deck a pivot, we win. We have 1 draw to win. All right, well, we had a good run. She's going to start clearing the tags. We need to just draw and get something in the remote server. That's a bummer. That's a bummer, y'all. How many Dirty Laundries has she played? She has played 2. I think if there is a 3rd one, it will connect with the Oracle Think Tank. It might more likely connect off Docklands after we draw like this. I'm just going to continue drawing. All right, that's but. All 3 are in the bin? Oh yeah, check that out. You're not wrong. All right, this is where the holding the Oracle Think Tank is good. Seamless, she sees 2 here. VSA, bummer. So she can clear down to 1 to 0 tags here if she really wants to, and that means our window has been closed. Okay, we have some issues. Just a bit too late. So what can we pull with this? We can pull. With the Seamless, we can pull anything. And she still has to deal with the server, which is going to be really difficult. If she does that, we'll probably gain 2 credits on the VSA. I don't think it's worth. I think we just draw for an agenda. Credit. Like, this feels bad. This feels bad that we're not pushing the game forward. And it's wild. It's like clearing the tags actually was correct. Like, maybe that's a big learning, is that like trying to win. It's hard for this deck sometimes to win before anything. Maybe it's the fact that we use the pivot. Living, watching clothes. Give me 3 credits a day. It's my dirty laundry. Thread and win Oracle Advance. I think that's fine. Yeah, it's okay. But then if we have to score it out, we're like miserable. Yeah, let's pretend that we have something. But we can't even because we don't have enough credits. I'd rather her steal it from HQ, I think. We just need at least 5 credits. We'll get rid of this. We'll get rid of... Sure, we can pivot for Crash, install an Oracle. We just don't have enough money. But you're right. We can pivot for the Crypto Crash and install the Oracle. That's like the big brain play for sure. Could have thrown in a think tank there. That would have been pretty well timed. I don't know what she's running. Just to check, I guess. Mystic's back. Have they seen Seamless? Has she? Okay, Spin Doctor. So we can find a Bologna with this. I think that's our best case, as much as it does put us on scary game point. What the heck is going on here? All right, let's just do the cool play. So we'll pivot for Crypto Crash, and then we'll install this in server 1 and say go. That's the cool play. That's so much harder to do in person, where like you have to add the card in. I guess you just shuffle and then you install a card, but you have to like be cool. You have to be so cool. You can also just IA the crypto. We have Seamless. We don't even have to IA. We can just I. Nice. We're gonna feel so cool. Simulship? Does she have access to something? That got scary fast. Okay. This man doing is everything he can do to avoid playing pivot. We don't have the money, really. How's it going? All right, let's see where the investigator goes. On R&D, is that a problem for us? Yeah, maybe. But this at least will be okay. Streaming the EU team. No, how's it going? I have never DRM played anyone's yet. I've never actually done it. The server is like relatively cheap. Uh-oh. Oopsie. Quick rules question. If you play an operation or take an action, this is something like, hold on 1 second. We'll take the money here. It says install a card and put advancement counters on it, and you install something that normal cannot be advanced. Is that Bible legal? Yes. Unless the card says on a card that can be advanced, if that's a clause, you can, if a card allows you to advance a card, it allows you to advance any card. So like you can mitosis or Mushin no Shin out of snare. It's totally legit. Okay, so now we have to Oppo and survive a turn. If we do Oppo install, that's bad. What is the outermost? Double ping? Didn't we have a pivot? Oh, we just used it. Like, this seems so difficult. Like, we have to jam in the server. Otherwise, we can hope. Like, she's going to have 5 tags. She can clear... She has to clear 4 of them. That seems difficult. All right. We'll make it even harder. We have just enough money to win. Install Econ Warfare Oppo. I don't even know if we have an install. Because we can do it from hand. Maybe it's less safe in hand than here. Yeah, it might be less safe in hand. That might actually be true. Harmony. Interesting. I don't know if there's that much more of a game for this card to do anything. It's free though. We can probably Oppo for 2. Yeah, maybe. The thing is, like, we only need 2 credits to score out. I think we have it. A stash is glorious, not gonna lie. No, I appreciate it. Thank you. I don't know what to do with it. It's getting too long. Make your friend cry when they run archives expecting to win, but you res this advanced spin doctor. Yeah, you can do it. You can do it. Yep, okay. No claw threat. We have it. Server 1. We could just do this. Actually, we only needed 1 credit. So notice, like, what does this one say? This one says advancement counters on installed cards you can advance. So if it doesn't say the clause, it doesn't matter. Thanks for the game. Yeah, she had a really good comeback there. I thought she would be out of it, and then she soldiered through it and like cleared the tags, and it actually worked out pretty well. Again, I do think maybe we could have been more aggressive, but I feel like the tag punishment is nowhere near as cogent as I think it looks on the other side of the table. Padding HQ might have been better than a credit. Yeah, I thought we needed 2 credit. I did the math wrong. We needed 1 credit, so we definitely should have drawn first. We would have drawn Rashida, so padding HQ would have been definitely a bit safer there. I think that is totally true. I've thought for some reason we would need 2 credits, which is what you need to Bologna shipment. Hey, Pink, thanks for the game as well. You clearing the tags in the mid game was like, I don't think I called it as the right play, and I think it was totally the right play. Well done. Small Oppo lets you res the Starlit Knight on HQ though. Yeah, I think though if we res the Starlit Knight, admittedly, I think we only res it for 3 credits. I just feel like maybe she can clear 3 tags because she only has to clear 2 tags to put us of our win condition. So I don't think if she gets 5, I think if Pink, we only give Pink 3 tags, she can clear 2 and we don't win next turn. So it's tricky, right? Like having the option to small Oppo. She was on 0. Yeah, but like maybe with Mystic prepaid voice pad, it's like you do click 1, creative commission, clear tag, clear tag. Like there's a lot of ways to, it's hard to count exactly how much money you can get from these sort of engines because there's so many cards. Like Baya Bands will mess us up a bit. We've seen the Dirty Laundries. You could do creative commission. Dirty Laundry. We've seen Baya Bands changes the math. We also saw interesting includes like Steel Skin Scarring. So I don't know if we're going to see, I guess Wildcat doesn't actually work, right? So it's tricky. It's definitely an option. Hey, Jonathan, how's it going? Can't stay long. Just want to say hi from the UK, Wales specifically. How's it going, Wales? Welcome to the stream. Glad you, thanks for taking the time to say the message. I really appreciate it. It's really cool to know like how wild and far it is the folks who watch this channel and enjoy Netrunner, which is great. Hey, Ken, I don't want to derail a stream. Have you heard of the game Balatro Poker Roguelite? That has a demo on stream right now. I have. Northern Lion played it, so I grabbed the demo. I don't like poker, but I played through the demo, and then the demo only allowed you to play like 50 hands or something, and so I've already played all my 50 of my hands. I thought it was pretty cool. I did think it actually was pretty cool, and I think we're seeing a lot more like blackjack roguelites and like just attaching roguelites and like deck building onto like weird, you know, kind of formats that, you know, you would be a bit surprised. And I thought it was pretty neat. I did think it was pretty good. Demo's back up and doesn't have the 50 hand limit anymore. Oh, super cool. Yeah, no, I did enjoy it. I thought it was pretty cute. It's like very numbers based, and the scoring is like super obtuse. Like that's my only downside is like to figure out what hand is better than one hand. It doesn't, at least in the demo, it didn't do the math for you. So you actually had to be like, okay, with this modifier and this modifier and this modifier, and then this modifier plus this score plus these numbers, this is and the numbers get really big. It's like, that's a 440 point play, as opposed to if I do this, it would be like a 612 point play. And to me, there's a lot of people that's going to be incredibly alienating too. Greetings from Venice on the road to Worlds. Like Venezia or like Venice Beach? Sargnar, how's it going? Greetings from Venice would make sense if you're going, because Venice has an airport that I've been to actually a couple times. It's like one of the cheapest ways to get into Slovenia. Venezia, awesome. Yo, lovely place. Super cool place. I've been to that airport a couple times actually, because Venice is like 30-minute drive from Slovenia on the west coast. So my dad grew up on the west coast. The village my father grew up in, the border had changed many times through his life. Sometimes it's Austria, sometimes it's Italy, throughout like, you know, the 20th century. So yeah, a lot of the slang in the language there is half Italian because they're basically on the Gorica border. So yeah, we would take day trips into Venice a fair bit. It's really nice. We're talking about random games. Lamplighters League out today. XCOM like a real-time stealth bits. Okay, Leon, game tangent. Firstly, apparently Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1+2 came to Steam today, which is like weird that I didn't cancel the stream because I went out to buy Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1+2 on the PlayStation. Like we have a PlayStation, I don't play it, and apparently this is out. It's on sale today. I'm probably gonna have to buy this game again. This is such a good reboot, and Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2 and 3 and 4 are one of the games that I probably played the most in my life growing up. Absolutely seminal. The music is really good too. They mostly reconstructed the old soundtrack, let alone the game is just very good. Gotta love Marco Polo. Yeah. Lamplighters League, I played the demo. It's out. It's out today. Not the biggest fan of it so far. To me, it seemed a bit buggy and a bit unpolished. It also, like, it seemed kind of stodgy and plotting. I had a really big conversation with my brother about that. My brother's like a huge tactics person, so I'd love to hear what your thoughts about this. I think a lot of people are going to really enjoy this game. I think there's a really high bar for these tactics games, but also for a lot of people, you'll play any tactics game they have access to, especially like a new fresh one with this like kind of fun theme. But you can play the demo and think what you think. I think one of the big things that like bothers me is that so generally when you have a character, right, like you can move a character around and then you have action points. And you can use an action point to take an action. Movement is an action, shooting is an action. And in most tactics games, if you fire your gun, it takes one action point or whatever your weapon is, but that ends your turn. And in this game, that's not the case. It means you can actually fire your weapons twice, which to me, I don't like that, because then it makes so many situations where like you have to consider, is moving better than just firing twice? And so many of my characters will just fire twice, because it does make more sense than movement. And I thought that was like really unfortunate. It actually takes out a bit of the intrigue of the game, where it's just like, is there anything better than shooting your gun twice? And at least in the demo, that wasn't the case. I don't know if it is going forward. The game is a bit buggy. It doesn't run particularly well. The camera's kind of, it feels a bit janky. So it's the sort of game that I'm very excited to revisit in a couple months with maybe a couple patches, but it wasn't, I didn't play the demo and thought like, this is amazing. I played the demo and I thought like, oh, this is all right. How do you say Ljubljana? Like that. Ljubljana. I prefer Underground. Underground is the only Tony Hawk game that didn't come out on PC until it came out on PC, which was like a kind of a hack. So I played it much later, but Tony Hawk Underground did not come out on PC. And I played Tony Hawk Pro Skater on keyboard. It's really weird. I play with spacebar as jump, CVB is flip, grind, grab. Games that are weighed against a high standard. XCOM 2 is the gold standard. Yeah, it's like a really crowded genre abbreviator. So like, I don't know. Some people just like tactics games. I like tactics games, but this one to me felt like, try the demo to see what you think. But it has some open world, not open world stuff, but there's like some real time stuff, kind of like what is that nuclear one where you play as like a weird duck person and animal people? I think it's the same people as well. But there's like that sort of overworld stuff where you can like, I don't know. Images gave me the Indiana Jones vibe. I hope they have a short round like character. Yeah, it's like 1930s adventure, so it's good. Wish there's another Shadowrun, but I'll take more HBS games. Yeah, this is from the Shadowrun people. That is totally worth noting. It is the Shadowrun people. Still playing Shadow Gambit. Thing's so good. It's so good. Okay. Yeah, Mutant. That's it, Paul. Mutant Zero, right? Lamplighters demo's not available anymore, unfortunately. Oh, that sucks. I wonder why, because I don't think they got good feedback on the demo, and I wonder if they're just like, the game is out now, you had your chance, which like, I don't know, man. If you have a good game, put out a demo. I'm aware that most demos actually do eat into game sales, unfortunately, because people play the demo and then realize that's enough for me, and some people might have splurged. But when it comes to Steam, like the Steam refund policy, not that you should abuse it, is like, it's really easy to try stuff out. Yeah, Mutant Year Zero. I played the first, my brother was a big fan of that one, and he liked that more than he liked Lamplighters. It's on Game Pass Battletech. Trap, how's it going? Trap Ping Ving. The studio that made Lamplighters League also made Shadowrun's video games, very nice RPGs and cyberpunk theme. Yeah, I have no doubt a lot of Netrunner players are familiar with the RPG setting, if not the game. Mutant Zero, yeah. Oh, another one real quick that you might like, because I thought it was pretty great. We'll get to replay in just a second, is the expansion to this came out. It is Fights in Tight Spaces, which is an indie gig. It looks a bit, you know, like super hot, but it's basically a card game, you know, like a deck builder, roguelite, just like Slay the Spire, except it's all about having a character in these sort of like, you know, action movie violent settings. And so as you go through the game, it gets more difficult. There's more things you have to worry about, but it's all about positioning, damage, blocking, guarding, countering, throwing people out of the arena and stuff like that. It's been good. I have maybe 100 hours into it. They just had an expansion that just came out, which adds, it's called Weapon of Choice. It's still on sale. That is a paid expansion. Enter a valid date. I'm as old as the hills. That allows you to have like gun kata stuff. So they added that sort of like John Wick, and now there's a gun stance that you have to like kind of weave in and weave out, kind of like the fourth character from Slay the Spire. I played this weekend. It's good. It's a good expansion. It's a really good expansion. I wanted more of this game, and I'm glad that there's more support for the game. But it's fun. It's fun. It's a bit plotting. I do think the runs are too long, but it's kind of up to you to make the run as long as you want, because you can take on as many gangs as you want before you go to the final boss. I think the final boss is, it's different in the campaign, and to me it's just like keyword soup, so it's hard to get the most out of your deck. But Fights in Tight Spaces, I think, I'm not sure if it still has a demo, but if you like action games as much as this is just a card-based game, there's no like speed element to it. This is really fun. If you haven't played Final Fantasy Tactics War of the Line, is really good too. Yo, Leonard, Fiv Leonard. I've only played, what's it called? Tactics Advanced and like Advanced 2, and I really like them. Did you play Invisible Ink? Yes, very much. It's a pretty short game, but the theming is something you're most likely to be really into. I've said this before on stream, but a bunch of the people that made from Clay Entertainment that made Invisible Ink actually had a Netrunner podcast. Shout out to Nels and Jesse, and they were Netrunner players. And you can tell there's a lot of Netrunner DNA in that game. It's really, really good. Invisible Ink is sick. You can probably find it for very cheap. It's a pretty old game now. Those graphics are super hot. Yeah. I had the same feeling about runs being too long. Yeah, they are too long. They're genuinely too long, which is up to you. Invisible Ink is really, really good. Yeah. Even all their games, almost all the Clay games are fantastic. Specifically like Mark of the Ninjas, one of the best stealth games ever made. Having a lot of fun in Banner Saga recently, also Tactics, but it's a different style. The art and story are amazing. Yeah, that's the Nordic one, right? Like the Viking style. One of the books you find in Firewatch was called Terminal 7. Oh, I think I probably knew that back in the day. Because Firewatch is the team that left. I think I'm not sure if both Jesse and Nels left, but they left Clay to make, it's called Campo Santo or whatever, and they made Firewatch, which is really good. And then So Far From Now, they were working on another game, but I think that game became exclusive to, I don't know, did it become like a Facebook thing or Meta something? It was just Nels. Okay. Yeah, Campo Santo. Yeah, Firewatch is really good. It's also like a really good game to play right now in October because it is, without a spoiler, it is actually a frightening game. It's like not what the mood of the game looks like. I think the timer definitely makes it faster and prevents analysis paralysis for Invisible Ink. Cool. All right. The game is way spooky. Yeah, genuinely frightening game. And like I have a pretty big tolerance for fear in video games. But like that game was actually unnerving. Like you do feel weird playing it. It's great. They got bought up by Valve. And the follow-up to Firewatch got dropped. Weren't they working, Neil, how's it going? Weren't they working on that one where it's like the kind of same 1930s theme where it was a lady exploring like Egyptian tombs or something? The stuff play Signalis. I think I have Signalis. I haven't played it yet. Okay. We can talk about video games for a long time. Maybe we should. But I did a call to action a while ago to ask for some replays. Shout out to Ian. Ian sent me a replay. So I want to do some replay reviews. We'll figure out if this is good commentary or not. Maybe this is better stuff for a video than a live stream. But in short, the idea is that right now going to Worlds, there's a lot of, scrutiny about like decks, but also like clean play is super important. We had a video on this channel a long time ago in which we did a replay review to go through some solid fundamentals. Oh, it looks like the replay, I have to reopen it. We'll do that in a second. I just want to see if I load a replay. Hold on, give me 1 second, because I don't want to open my file browser, and give me 1 second. Can I do this here? Yes, I can. Okay, we're back. Hey everyone, Koga, how's it going? This should be great content. I'm hoping so. So the one thing that I'm a bit nervous about is that when I ask for replays for submission, I want to, like, it's hard if the replay is about a matchup in which the two sides of the table are doing something a bit strange, because it's hard to say like what are the good fundamentals when inherently somebody's playing a very interesting and off meta deck, because you can't actually tell. And mind you, this was sent by Face Down Corp Card, who's playing an ESA deck. Specifically, it's this ESA deck, which is called Drunk Cat Burn My House, which is one of these like Begamot Lamb decks, which is a nice, interesting interaction. So very limited breaker suite, but the idea is that Begamot will eventually be massive strength because you take core damage, and then Lamb can make one thing a turn a barrier. So you can deal with hopefully 2 ice a turn for relatively cheap. You also have Banhar to get a bit more flexibility. And then on top of that, you have the Airblade combo, which shout out to Diogen, loves this damn thing. But this allows you to now take net damage from your skates instead of from your hand. I'm not entirely sold on this. It gives you a lot of aggression, and like in ESA, that's fantastic because you have a lot of like very strong single runs. Now this deck is only on 2 Chistushka. Again, Sabotage is really important that you play as much Sabotage as possible, because Sabotage scales incredibly non-linearly. The idea is that the first Sabotage is like, okay, I got rid of my like worst cards, and then the second Sabotage, you start eating into random cards or like your better cards. So not having 3 Chistushka, to me, that's an interesting change for sure. It's also on Joyride. We have 2 Finality as well, but Joyride, working that with Ghost Tongue is really fun, because if you get all these cards in your hand, which you do this for 1 credit, you can now maybe play a bunch of events. I think I did ask Jeff last week to try this out in Shaper, and I think there's actually maybe a deck there where in Shaper, if you can even play Ghost Tongue, you can Joyride and then just play an event economy package, and it feels pretty good, which is neat to see this. Other things missing from the ESA deck, I love a bit of HQ pressure in ESA, so things like legwork just win games. Because very consistently, if I have 5 cards in hand and I have to sabotage 2, I'll sabotage my 2 worst cards, and then I'm left with generally like 2 agendas. So a single legwork wins the game. That was pretty standard in ESA decks maybe 4 to 5 months ago, and then people cut it down so they don't play it at all, which to me is such a bummer because it's such the easy I win card. We're also in 2 pinhole, which is super, super interesting. So we're going to keep this in mind when playing the deck. It's not so much a criticism of the deck itself. We just want to understand what we're playing with. And if we want to look at this board state to see like what sort of fundamentals, what we can learn, what can we pressure, and we're going to see both hands. We have to keep in mind the players don't know both hands, but yeah. Mind you, Arno did consent in the middle of the gameplay that this would be okay to be a replay review. I'm not sure if they're aware to the fact that it'd be up here, but they're a Smurf anyways, so we can be as toxic as we want. It's not a real No, I'm kidding. But they consented to this. We can always hide the name if they didn't, which was the plan. The Diogenes Specials, I believe it is now known. Posted my Lamb Quetzal deck list today. Really struggled to put together something that was so jank it was unplayable. Yeah, I think Lamb is actually more interesting than I think it is, but yeah, we'll keep that in mind. It's a cool interaction, and so I do think you're seeing people playing a bit more Quetzal. Okay, so we're gonna go through it again. Chat is open. We're gonna be responding to the chat, but this game is, I don't think, particularly too long. And the Corp actually is doing a weird interaction that I think I've said on the channel should exist, but I've never seen in person. So we're excited to see it. So while this hand looks very standard ASA, there's a bunch of spice in this as well. So we're gonna go figure. So looking at the corp side, this is a pretty okay hand. I think with this hand, if you top deck a piece of ice, you have a playable hand. If you don't have a piece of ice, this hand is actually kind of rough. On a runner side, the runner kept this hand. I think this hand is probably not the best keep. I think the best thing you have in your hand is a Banhar, and you have a Fermenter. Hush in the matchup just doesn't matter for HB. It's maybe nice to have an early Banhar, but like the moshing on this hand is actually kind of hard to use. And the pinhole actually in the early game can be pretty important, but I don't think this is a hand I'd be excited to keep. So we'll go for that. Forcing people to break 7 for Magnet is nasty. Yeah, play a Dakota in your deck, Andre. Okay, and we're off. So, Corp kept this hand. I think if you top deck an ice, you're totally fine here. So they got a Magnet. So the idea here with Asa Group is you want to kind of plan your turn. And so the big thing here is you want to make sure that your Rashida goes off. However, if you ice up your Rashida with a Magnet, you leave HQ open. And leaving HQ open against, mind you, this deck has 2 Chestushka, is pretty nasty. While it's maybe really difficult to play Chestushka on turn 1 to go down to 2 credits after you hit that, Sabotage 4 in the early game is pretty bad. So at least if we have Spin Doctor here, we can do something interesting. So we'll see what the Corp does here. You definitely want to get the Rashida up, and maybe you can leave HQ open if you get a Spin Doctor on the table. And even actually having 2 Rashidas on the table is kind of reasonable. So we started with the Asa. And the remote server, we have a wage workers. They're going to res the wage workers to get down the spin doctor and then click for a credit. So the idea is that spin doctors is our defense here to sabotage. And I think that's like pretty reasonable. The wage workers was also resed here, and the wage worker was resed here to simply gain a credit. I would argue that the misinformation of what this card is might actually be a bit better, because heaven forbid you have to raise the magnet and then you still lose the Rashida. You're kind of gutted. So resing the wage workers here a bit sooner than later means that you'll get more value throughout the game. But I think the disinformation of what this is, let alone the flexibility of having 6 credits here, which threatens some pretty painful face checks as much as people are not playing MIC, could matter. But that's definitely a line of play. Having these 2 cards in hand as your only cards in hand, I told you how legwork is pretty great, but there is a spin doctor on the table, so we can always sabotage from there. Okay. One really, really big thing that we always say is you should be face checking the remote server all the time. If I look at this board state, you can guess. You can actually entirely guess what this is. What's in server 1? It's either Rashida or it's a Nico. There's a small chance it's an agenda. Heaven forbid it's a luminous transubstantiation or even an off-world office with the wage workers. But the big thing here is whatever is in the server, you need to deal with it as soon as possible. Asa needs a big hand size. Having 2 cards in hand means that they can't fire Asa next turn, and they're kind of totally gutted. So you need to face check this. Specifically on lower than 4 credits, you don't even have to worry about the mythical MIC, which people aren't playing. But there is no card in the early game that the face check is so punishing that this is not right to do. Because functionally, if you trash this Rashida after they spend, like they res a magnet, they're down on 1 credit. That is a really good thing to do. Getting the magnet resed early is pretty good abstractly for anarchs who could be playing botchless, they're not. But if a gatekeeper is resed here, that's a really good time to get a res, so you don't have to deal with it for the mid to late game, let alone it's not going to do anything for ESA. Drafter is next to useless. It's not the worst, but it's pretty bad with an archives empty. On cell doesn't do anything. We can't res it. Forcing an ablative barrier on this turn res can't do anything. Resing a Hagen to go down to 0 doesn't do anything. There is nothing that you are scared to face check here. And this is something that you have to be really important of. It's very easy for runners to want to play their deck as opposed to playing the matchup, because this is a thing where you have to play the board state. And I think we're going to see that the runner here is going to play their hand instead of the board state. And you need to try and do both. Would you use Pinhole for this, guessing it's Rashida? Milk, you should, but you should do that after you force the ice res. And we'll see how the turn goes, because it looks like we don't make a run here. So we're going to set up. So we spend a click to draw. We get an Air Blades. Now we have the combo there. Looks like we're going to moshing. We'll talk about the contents we mosh. We get rid of a Pinhole, a Hush, and a Fermenter. Mind you, it's hard to hold Pinhole in your hand as Essa because you're going to be taking damage, but Pinhole is a really important card in a matchup you're assuming has defensive upgrades. We're going to set up with the Banhar, which is a nice goal we have this turn, and then we get down a Marrow. So there's a bunch of stuff that we have to talk about here. Firstly, if your click one is just smashing their remote server, they have to res the magnet to protect the Rashida. They're down to 1 credit. Now the question is, what's in the remote server? The answer is pretty obvious. It's a Rashida. So from that point on, if you pinhole the Rashida, the corpse starts with 1 credit and nothing on the table of value. That is how you play this opening turn. You aggressive, you force the res, and then if they protect it, you know it has to be a Rashida, so you just pinhole the Rashida. So doing this has such a huge change on the game. The corpse starting with 3 extra cards and 3 credits on turn 2 is like them getting a turn and a half. So you need to smash into this as hard as possible. And that is going to have a huge game change. So I think for this hand, you just run it first click and they're forced to res. Then you know it's important, you pinhole it, and then you can probably set up this hand with Banhar, and then you have Fermenter for economy. One of the issues with this hand, barring the moshing, is you don't have economy, and Fermenter is probably the biggest economy piece in this entire deck. It doesn't have liberated counts, so getting one down is okay, as much as it might be scary to face check into Hagen. But this is a really big thing, is you have to run the remote server to force the res, and then if we pinhole threading it down, like again, the corp is going to have nothing on turn 2, and it's obviously a big difference to us. Another big thing here is, and you want to avoid this as much as possible, sometimes it's tricky, but you don't want to sabotage in 2 cases. Either you want to avoid sabotaging when there's probably obviously a spin doctor on the table. This might be a spin doctor, it might not be a spin doctor. It's not easy to do everything you can, so I don't think you can pressure the spin doctor. But with a spin doctor on the table, the marrow is, the sabotage here is next to useless, right? Like you actually allow the corporation to discard the Ikwa from hand if they want to. So it's in the bin, so it's not an HQ for the next couple turns. It actually helps the corporation. Another really good thing why you don't want to be sabotaging last click is the corporation fully understands that you can't check it this turn. So doing sabotage on the last turn is one of the worst times to be sabotaging. I feel like they mosh the fish for the Chistushka. I think even if you're moshing to fish for the Chistushka, you probably should mosh before drawing. Maybe you shouldn't, but if you think this is a spin doctor, you should not be Chistushkaing. If there's any chance that this is a spin doctor, you should not be pursuing the sabotage. You should be pursuing the table. And so there's a chance that either of these are a spin doctor, especially because the corporation kept, and this is a really weird keep if there's not a spin doctor on the table. I don't think you look for the multi-axis. And in this deck, there's only 2 Chistushkas as well. So it's kind of hard to fish for it. But yeah, you definitely don't want to be sabotaging last click if you can avoid it, let alone if you think there's a spin doctor on the table. And that's something you often see with Essa. It's like there's not, you're going to see this in the top cut of Cannats. There's a turn with a massive amount of sabotage, and there's like very clearly a spin doctor on the table, and you want to avoid that as much as possible. Oh, flip on the mod trigger. There was a game loss in the grand finals. Beans. Is there even a situation that they let the Rashida go, not resing the magnet because they know they can reshuffle Rashida back with a spin doctor? No, I think you res the magnet to get the Rashida, but that's when you blow them out with the pinhole. Like nobody's expecting pinhole this early, let alone from Essa. So I think they're very likely to res the magnet because no matter what, in the next couple turns of the game, they're going to have to res the magnet anyways. So you might as well res it now because you can recover. So this is the huge blowout where you force the magnet res and then you pinhole it. And then they're left with a res dice and nothing. Obviously they have another Rashida in hand, which is worst case potentially to be able to recover, but the corp has an extra turn here for sure. Yeah, early pinhole is so good. There's very few board states where pinhole is not just absolutely busted. And because Rashida turn 1 is such a meta defining play in standard, it is actually really important. Did this die? Oh, this is not plugged in. The lamp turned off. 1 second. I think it turned off when I was like walked away. Meant from the corp mindset? No, I think you still res it, right? Like you want the Rashida. The Rashida is worth it for sure because you need the 3 card draw. Spin doctoring back the Rashida is going to be too long. Like, you know, you're going to have to res it next turn on the second Rashida anyways, but anyways, at least we have the Banhar here. So the magnet we can contest next turn, but obviously we're going to res it with Rashida and we're off. Sabotage 2, we draw into moshing. On the sabotage, we hit the air blades. Unfortunately, I think we'd rather hit the steel skin there for sure. I think versus Etsu, you want to try hold Spin Doctor for critical sabotages. Yeah, you try not to reveal that you have a Spin Doctor, and you try to only use it for the most powerful stuff. So you don't want to use it for tempo. And there you go. Sabotage last click. Let the corp get rid of the Ikoa project, which is so important. It's very important to understand that most of these Ace Group decks are running 9 agendas. 6 points of them, 2 of the 3 pointers are attached to Ikoa projects. So you want to make sure if you're running Centrals or remote server archives, you have a click and 2 credits. That's not too difficult to do. But most importantly, if the corporation ever scores out the Ikoa project as their first agenda, or even sometimes their second agenda, I think first agenda more accurately, spending 5 credits and 5 advancements on a tempo negative agenda is going to cost them the game. So they're super happy to get this out of hand. I think you definitely want to keep the Rashida, and you could easily go off the top of the deck, but you have nothing to do with this card in hand, and you know you can recover it. So you can definitely trash that from hand. I don't think you need to, but you're not doing anything with it, so might as well. So again, the sabotage largely did nothing. So crack off with the Rashida. This is where the deck gets really interesting, right? So Tucana. Again, this is where we're getting away from the meta, so it's going to be a bit harder to make calls against the deck. But the idea with Tucana is that if the runner steals an agenda in the remote server, you can pull any ice from your deck, which means you can set up a ganked infinite loop. Whether it's like with Ravana or whether it's with Ansel 1.0 to rip up the board state, that's very interesting. But now we know that we're off the beaten path for sure. Yeah, Tucana ganked. Very interesting. So we're going to get a 4th click here. Actually, no, sorry, we have 5 cards at hand. We're going to start with the Spin Doctor here. The idea here is that we don't really have a play to push. I would argue that you can get away with just doing the Rashida, because as soon as you show the Spin Doctor, I don't know what exactly we're looking for here. Maybe another piece of ice, maybe for something for HQ if we want to like deal with the sabotage threat. But I think the runner should have probably seen that this was a Spin Doctor, so you're not giving up much information because this wasn't res that started turn, so it has to be like, you know, one of the very minimal options. But I do think the runner should have contested this before, you know, narrowing down. So let's see what they do here. Again, we have the Ace install. It looks like we're going to go for Vitruvius and a Tucana. And we got something on server 4 and something on HQ. So we're looking to get the triple wage workers install. Rashida out here, interesting. I don't think it's going to be challenged. Again, there's a lot of stuff Essa wants to do. We have Tucana to Vitruvius, and with the wage workers on the table, there's a huge incentive to get 4 advances on the Vitruvius. It's one of the most important things you can do against Essa. So contesting the wage workers actually on these board states is kind of interesting. I think it's going to be difficult for Essa to do that, but understanding that the card in server 1 right now, like there's generally 2 to 3 phases to most Asa group decks. Phase 1 is they want to get some ice on the remote server and they want to get a Nico, a Marilyn, and a Rashida going so they can set up their early economy. Because this deck sometimes doesn't have hedge fund. It doesn't have a robust operation economy, barring the setup of fully operational. After that point, they generally pivot to 1 defensive upgrade and then 1 or 2 pieces of ice to score out their first agendas. But the agendas you're expecting are things like Off-World Office and Vitruvius. For what it's worth, I wonder if getting the Off-World Office sooner than later is a bit stronger to establish the economy, because spending 4 advancements on the Vitruvius is actually incredibly expensive. It might not be possible. Now, we also know that this server can be ban hard. I wonder if you just wanted to get the Tucana to go off anyways, but I do think that there's a chance that with the Spin Doctor on the table and we didn't get Chestushka last turn, that you could consider double icing server 1. But the problem is as soon as you res 6 credits of magnets, you're in a really bad spot. So this is a bit tricky because I think you're hoping here that the runner respects this as a Managarm, which I don't think they have to. I think they can run double click, steal, and trash. So if this is a Rashida or this is a Managarm, I think they can just send it because there's with this hand, like you kind of really want to fire Banhar. So I think this is an interesting play. What I was originally saying is that very likely the card in the remote server is either an Off-World Office or it's likely a Vitruvius. Both of those agendas, one of them is a 4-2, the other one functionally should be a 4-2, which means with a lot of these Asa group decks, cutting slots in Seamless Launch and relying on wage workers, which is what we saw from Sokka winning Intercontinentals and Continentals EMEA, a lot of people have copied that. And that means that if you actually contest the wage workers here, you buy yourself almost a whole turn. Because if they have to triple advance the Vitruvius and get a tempo negative 3-2, that's really good for you, let alone they can't triple advance this if they don't want to quad advance it, and they can't get their Asa group. So on this exact board state, I think there's actually is a reason to trash the wage workers if you can afford it. And again, we didn't get our fermenter down. We don't have a strong economy. Probably what we do here is we draw once and we moshing. That's the best we can do to get a bigger hand. So runner, mark server 1 and just finalities. So, okay, this is again really important. Not only now are we sabotaging again while there's a Spin Doctor obviously on the table, that means that this multi-axis is not going to do much, or the sabotage is going to do much. So we have lost 4 sabotage to either we could have assumed there's a Spin Doctor there, and now we know there's a Spin Doctor there. And so you want to avoid that at all costs. Sabotage is inherently a multi-axis that falls apart to Spin Doctor. You shouldn't be sabotaging with Spin Doctor. Another big thing here is that the runner is saying, I don't care what you're doing in server one, I'm going to try and lock the top of R&D. And locking our top of R&D is also incredibly difficult while there is a spin doctor on the table, because they can just shuffle immediately and draw unknown cards, and you're not going to see what they're drawing into. This is pretty difficult. And again, a big thing with Asa Group is they're very good with 2 pieces of ice and a defensive upgrade. This remote server is almost impossible to charge. So this is actually a good time that you can consider charging this, but like spending resources on like getting into R&D and locking the top of R&D is generally not what you want to do. A lot of times you want to pretend that you can control server 1 for a while. And on this board state, we genuinely can control server 1. And then eventually in the mid to late game, then you pivot to multi-access. I think slamming multi-access is a really easy thing to do while you're holding this finality, but we're probably in a better spot, even just like, I think we drew the joyride, but even joyriding R&D to make an on-tempo single access, let alone just charging server 1 is good. Yeah, locking R&D is really hard into Asa. Not only is there a spin doctor, not only is there potentially fully operational, that is a burst draw card they have to play around. There's a Rashida on the table, which I think that's a bit of a surprise. But generally here, you want to spend more time setting up and contesting this, because whatever is in server 1 is going to be game defining. Either it's an off-world office, either it's another Rashida, either words it's a Nico to get the money they need, because this deck can res 1.5 ice on 7 credits, or it is any other big agenda. So trading the pressure on R&D versus controlling the game is the big thing about playing your deck versus playing the matchup. And you want to make sure you're doing both. Raindrops remote seems nice. Yeah, I think that might have been drawn off the... What happened there? What happened? Oh, the steel skin was hit. So these cards weren't in hand. So that wasn't technically an option yet. But yeah, just running server 1 and hoping to hit the steel skin is a lot better. Because imagine this, if the corp has to res the magnet for 3 credits, you go through it for potentially drawing cards, you have the clicks and the credits to deal with Managarm and or trash it, and you steal the Vitruvius. It kind of diffused everything you have to do, right? So yeah, definitely running this remote server. You know what's in here is going to be important. If you're concerned that there's an Anoetic Void in the remote server, which is the only defensive upgrade you can't deal with, you have to remember, right? Like the ice here, the subroutines are not going to fire. So Bladed Barrier doesn't work. So worst case, you're taking 2, maybe 3 net damage. Arguably, if they res a Brawn, which I guess you could respect that a bit, you could draw up once before you ran that. Actually, you had 3 cards in hand, you're fine. And if they fire an Anoetic Void after resing an ice, that's 5 credits and 2 more cards in hand, which is in theory, you just did Sabotage. Anytime you fire an Anoetic Void, it's Sabotage too, which like, that's really sick. So I don't love central pressure when the game is clearly about the remote server this turn. So Sabotage 2, we just went straight off the top again with Spin Doctor. We lost value there, and we're going to see 4 here. Mind you too, if we steal an Iqua project, we go pretty low on credits and clicks, so it's hard to recover because we have no economy, and only economy we can play is Raindrops Cut Stone. So stealing an Iqua actually kind of puts us farther out of the game. Look at 4. Nothing. Trashing a Managarm 3 cards down is almost definitely not correct. It's very expensive. We now are going to struggle to recover to be back in the game. Maybe we can moshing away these cards, as much as these are obviously good cards. But the idea is that Managarm is like really not going to be coming up anytime soon that's worth worrying about. If you're playing around server 1, you're actually assuming that there's a Managarm in the remote server and it is a unique card. Let alone, if you're running Archives or you're threatening Sabotage, the Spin Doctor will probably shuffle. So the chance that we're drawing a Managarm 4 cards down is actually really unlikely. So that Managarm trash, let alone bottoming you out on 0 credits, means you can't contest anything, is not going to be a relevant card. So a card that's 4 cards down, you really don't care about it. It's not going to have a huge impact. I think maybe the only card you'd be excited to trash there is another Spin Doctor, because then the Spin Doctor has to guess between, make a decision between putting back Spin Doctors and putting back these agendas. So that's pretty difficult. But yeah, that's a very low effort run, like a low value run because of all the board states. So that's definitely a bummer for sure. Click for credit. Okay, now we're going to go for the remote server. Technically here, this is the worst time in the turn to do it, because you cannot steal if it's an Iqua on the remote server. I don't think you expect it. You can't trash anything. So if you find an Anoetic Void, if you find, heaven forbid, a Rashida, you can't trash anything here. And if you were assuming this is a Managarm, of which we've seen 1, the only way to diffuse that is to have 2 clicks or 5 credits. So a bunch of this is attached to card knowledge, unfortunately, potentially, but this res is, Corporation maybe doesn't want to res here. Maybe that's the best thing you got going for you, but this is a very low value run. So we'll see if they res Magnet. That does 1 damage, takes a card out of hand. You res the Magnet anyways. I'm not sure if you actually need to res the Magnet here, because no matter what they're going through, and so you spent 3 credits to give them a card draw. You technically cycled a card, but I'm not sure if you love the Magnet res here. Now the Axis, you're going to res the Tucana, and now it's going to be stolen. It's a Vitruvius into Tucana, so now they can get any ice from their deck playing 3 credits less. Now that forced the corporation to spend 5 credits here. If you don't res the Magnet, you actually get a bigger choice on what the Tucana can do. But Arno here made a pretty big risk, putting on a remote server with a single ice. And while the runner did call it, I don't think it's a great call on this turn. It's going to pay out. We'll see what the Tucana pulls. Getting back in Netrunner since the last few years. Clayton, welcome back. It's in a really good time right now. Looks like they were afraid of losing Finality to ban hard damage, preemptively used it. I would argue that like the damage you did using it was worse than the damage losing it, right? Like sabotaging into a Spin Doctor, seeing 4 on a very easy R&D break is probably not worth it. That you'd probably just rather not have it. But you're right, that's like a big thing, is worrying about, I don't want to lose this card. You can win the game without Finality. And in fact, it's more important that you win the game by running server 1 than getting 4 random accesses at this point. Can you res Tucana for ice you can't afford to res? You have to install and res it paying 3 less. So if you can't afford the install and res, Tucana won't fire, from my understanding. Seems like a play someone makes because they don't want to lose their Finality. Yeah, I think that's probably it. But like, again, that's another big thing that's very worth understanding when you're playing Anarch specifically that is a bit destructive, is that a lot of times if you make a bad play to keep a card in your hand, you still made a bad play, unfortunately. I think the only plays that you're really worried about it, like, is this is a singleton breaker that I really need, right? Like, then you'd play around. But losing your 1 of Finality, which is not going to be good for the next 5 to 10 turns, potentially, depending on how aggressively you can push in a remote server, that's going to be the worst case. Funny enough, too, here, Tucana shuffles the deck. Not that you'd play around Tucana and HB, but now actually the top of R&D is entirely unknown. So that multi-axis was entirely wasted. You have to reveal the ice to show it can't be resed. Wait, for real? Install and res that ice paying a total of 3 less. You actually can reveal that you can't do it. I didn't know that. Neat. I'm not saying it's a good line, just trying to contextualize the runner plays. Totally, Joe. Yeah, no, appreciate that for sure. Yo, Rosenheim, how's it going? If you can afford to install it but not res it, you can still search it, install it, then you have to reveal and show you didn't have the money to res it. Johnny, I had no idea. It's really cool. Okay, source, rules document, QED. So we can't even trash the Tucana. There's nothing here we can trash. Accessing with 0 credits is like a pretty bad access in general, because what's in the remote server, probably something you want to trash. Minimum 1 credit for Rashida, maximum 2 credits for Ikua, or trash a Managarm, stuff like that. But if it's a Managarm, you're not getting in anyways. So at least we got a Vitruvius. Gonna get something, and we're gonna get a drafter. Gonna res the drafter. That fires Asa, so now we do the ganked. Okay. I see why this would happened. We're now gonna be able to install the whole board. This, unfortunately, is where our analysis of the entire board state and entire game is going to entirely devolve, because we're in uncharted territory. So it looks like Arno pushed for this interaction intentionally, because what they're allowed to do is, with a ganked in hand, if the Tucana fires, they can get a drafter. Then they can use Acer groups once per turn to install the ganked. And now, because the ganked was introduced to server 1, it has become a candidate for this access. And now you have to access it. So now you can trash the ganked, which, mind you, ganked says you can trash this to force the runner to counter a piece of ice. And now the ganked hits the drafter. And now the drafter allows you to add a card from Archives to HQ and then install a card from Archives to HQ. So you can do the gank list over and over again. So what's going to happen is we're infinitely going to draw every single card from Archives if we want to, until we're done. And then at that point, we can install 1 more card onto the table. Raindrops is about to draw a couple cards. I think Raindrops is about to draw the entire deck. Raindrops will now draw the entire stack. So if Face Down Corp card was worried about, you know, losing their multi-axis card, they're going to draw their whole damn deck here. So unfortunately, in terms of like competitive analysis of like board state and meta, it's totally out the window. We are just now in totally goofy category. So we're going to get to see this interaction, but basically this drafter is going to fire infinite number of times. And so the Raindrops is going to draw infinite number of cards. So here we go. I'll loop for 15 minutes. Or 15 more times. Okay, whoa, wait. Damn it. Yikes, yeah, this is yikes. Ganked has some really weird interactions. I was expecting Ganked to unsell. Ganked as drafter is pretty cool. In chat, everyone's really excited about this. Do you play around this interaction? Heavens, of course you don't. Assuming to see, and I do think Tucana actually is like a playable card and just value-based HB. I think it's just a great card in general. Playing around this interaction of them having the ganked in hand is pretty unlikely, as much as the drafter from deck is actually like pretty consistent. So yeah, they can draw everything, and then they can just continue to put the ganked over and over again. So this can force the runner to draw everything. Now, luckily, they're going to have 1 click left and at least 3 credits, so they can play the core damage card that they're going to draw into, the running hot, and go from that. The Raindrops gank loop interaction is hilarious. Yeah, we've all heard about it with the, you know, the Ravana, but now this is doing its own thing. So, all right, here we go. All right, so the runner has their whole stack. Luckily, there's this button here. If you don't know, I shouldn't have hit that. Okay, it doesn't work in spectator mode on the other side, but there's a button here that expands your hand like this so that it's a bit easier to deal with this, but they're holding their entire deck. So largely they have to win this exact turn. How do they do that? It's really difficult. Again, contesting Spin Doctor is hard. The best you can do here is play a Running Hot. So now Running Hot, we have a couple more clicks. We have no money. Installing the Ghost Tongue here is interesting because it means you can play all your one cost operations. So you actually can play all your Running Hots, which is kind of fun. So we're going to play this down. Now we can play Strike Funds, but unfortunately here, I think you had to play every single Running Hot you had to have a chance to win this turn. Because I think now discarding down to 4 hand size is going to be really difficult. Oh, there we go. So Running Hot, Running Hot. Yeah, this is not staged. This is not staged. These players don't know each other. The CIA experience. This is really funny. Usually runners can't do much with one click. Yeah, this deck can. I still argue here, Chestushka, while they have 8 cards in hand and while they have a Spin Doctor on the table, is definitely not the play. While Arno only has 1 credit, they can't really res much. This can't be it. Like, if anything, you have to win by getting real multi-axis. So, like, we talked about how legwork is really important, or by just getting singles off of R&D. R&D, mind you, was shuffled. It's really easy to forget that because Tucana is, you know, you're probably a bit surprised by this interaction. But Chestushka here is useless because they can just throw out 4 cards from the top of R&D, let alone cards from hand, and then Spin Doctor brings them back. So there's a small chance the runner can win here. They basically have to make a couple good runs, including finding an Ikwa, which is pretty difficult, and then finding a real 3-2. Unfortunately, Chestushka is not going to be the easy way to close this game out because there's a lot you can do with 8 cards in hand, let alone with Spin Doctor on the table. So this is like trying to play the value cards of your deck, kind of regardless of board state, which is not going to work out. So the Corp can do really whatever they want here. So they just did 4 from the top, 2 from hand, I think 2 from the deck. And like, yeah, it's not going to do anything. Should the runner start with Running Hot, Ghost Tongue, Running Hot? I think they did. I think that's what happened. It's just hard to tell. But they did Running Hot, Ghost Tongue, Running Hot. I think they played a Strike Fund at some point. That might not have been necessary. It's kind of hard to follow that. But yeah, I think you just jam all your Running Hots. This deck has only 2 of them though. So that's it. That's all the Running Hots they have. How did the runner draw their whole deck? They did a Raindrops Cut Stone, and then it was a Drafter Gank Loop off of the Tucana. Which, like, this interaction is probably a bit better than it looks. Moshing the Strike Fund would be more effective. It would be more effective to moshing the Strike Fund, yes. You don't need all the cards in the hand and it would be over. But I think here with 3 clicks left, like, there's a chance you win the game. It's basically run HQ, run R&D in some order like that. And when you run HQ, if you have more credits, you can trash some of these cards so you can make the bid of the axes better. But here it's really, really difficult because it's almost impossible to win in 2 clicks when Ikwas are in the game. So you just can't. Only 2 Running Hots, yeah, I think they realized there. Again, second Chestushka with a Spin Doctor on the table. There's no way this capitalizes. You just need to go for axes. They can rip their whole hand. It doesn't matter. And here they can shuffle all this stuff back, knowing that this is totally safe. Running Archives. Spin Doctor fixes this, yes. So unfortunately, don't sabotage with the Spin Doctor on the table. Deal with the Spin Doctor. It takes 1 click. And that's going to be probably it. The game's not over. Rashid on the remote server is pretty good. We're going to draw up. And now with this remote server, this deck has only 2 breakers, but no money. You can just jam the Vitruvius, and then you're just kind of good. Fortunately, the runner also really knows the top 2-3 cards are not agendas. No, they shuffled. Tucana shuffled, Joe, right? So these cards are totally unknown. The top of R&D actually, like, not results-oriented thinking, but the top of R&D had... Well, we'll find out in a second. I forgot. But yeah, they should be unknown cards. And again, we talked about trashing the Mana Garm. Like, having 3 more credits on this turn is actually incredibly important. As much as, like, this board state is a bit bizarre. Yeah, okay, it wasn't an agenda on top, but like, yeah, you needed it to have a chance. So now you just push agendas. There's no way that the corporation, or sorry, the runner can make enough money to contest this. And you still have to deal with the Drafter ganked, which means you have to break the Drafter twice. This deck just can't break the Drafter twice. What do you do? Okay, we talked about the early game, and like this board state as like popped off, as like as pogged as possible as the corporation went here. If you did the line of running the magnet for the Rashida, pinholing the magnet for the Rashida, this wouldn't have happened. And obviously results oriented, but like if you can deny that early Rashida, if you can force the 3 credit res early and you can then pinhole the Rashida, this just does not happen because the Corp is barely doing the really cool thing they want to do. They set it up and they actually pushed for it aggressively. I didn't see the line, and obviously they had a really good line there. That's why they did the really risky magnet play. But yeah, that's it. Does the runner deck have the price? No, I don't think so. I don't think a lot of people like that card in ESA because it's like trashes your own deck. I think it's great though. It's a good way to find your pieces. But yeah, no price. And at this point, we're going to fail to have a deck game because Banhar, you can't rely on it with 3 cards. It's going to cost you all this to put this down, and you have to do the land before the Begamut. And if you install the Begamut, you lose your finality. So there's like no way out here. It's not going to be an interesting game, just clicking for credits. Here, you just score this out as 4. Oh, as 5. Yeah, why not? Win in Rome. That actually fires, mind you. This is why Tucana is so good. Like, it fires that. Well, I keep both Finality and Begamot. I can't take 2 core damage. Yeah, I don't think you would take that. This is where you would take like a Fermenter. I would take an economy card and then just like 2 breakers. But it's almost impossible to win the game with just these 2 breakers. It's really, really, really difficult. Because no matter what, you can't play both of them. So you can't play your 3rd card even if it's a Fermenter. So yeah, you're kind of locked out. But again, this breaker suite's a bit silly. But yeah, no, the early game, it's like that's as important as it is. This wouldn't have happened. It might have happened eventually, but it wouldn't have happened that fast. So this comes down. Now we have 2 breaker suites. Running this is really difficult because you get ganked to the drafter, the infinite combo happens again. Let alone here, they can gank you into an on-sell and you lose the game. Oh, we're letting the drafter fire. Okay, just checking out. Interesting. So yeah, at this point, again, sorry, this is not going to be a pretty interesting talk from this point on. I think it might be possible to win. You have to get incredibly lucky. But yeah, now with Mana Garm, we just can't deal with this. So that's going to be it. How did we get that? Why didn't we Ansel gank loop? Wait, what is happening here? If I can ask, does anyone know of a good rule set to play Netrunner with 3 people? Exile. As far as I understand, no. There technically is a game called NAPD, Most Wanted or something like that, which is technically actually a 3 to 4 player Netrunner game where 1 player plays the corp. I don't think the rules that FFG put out are particularly good, but the community has worked on them so far. I think that might scale to 3-person actually. But yeah, not really. I don't think I know anyone who's played 3-player Netrunner. I don't understand what happened here. So it's a Mana Garm, so we double clicked. So we stole the remote enforcement. Okay, so they had 1 click left, so you can't do an infinite combo. So that's why. If you have 1 click left, you break the infinite combo, but you trash one of the pieces. So I'm not sure here why Arno didn't get the on-sell on this server and then ganked into the on-sell, because then you can click through one of these, so you have to click through the reinstall, but you can trash an installed runner card. So you can go ahead and trash the lamb, and then the deck is over. So I'm not actually sure why that happened like that. We did ganked it to drafter instead, which fires. So, okay, so we can shortcut it anyways. So we're just going to draw back up everything. So, okay, I guess. Yeah, that's fine. Hello from Russia, Netrunner One Love. We're Verg, how's it going? All right. Thanks so much for submitting this. This is definitely a goofy replay. I do think there's definitely a lot you can look at the first couple turns and understand, like, you know, pressure, the fundamentals of, like, you know, forcing your opponent to do stuff and stuff like that. Understanding that multi-axis, like, that's a really big thing with Netrunner. Is like, getting as many finalities as you can is not how you win the game. Unfortunately, it's you know, you have to contest the remote server, you have to play around upgrades, you have to understand like R&D lock can be broken. What is the corporation trying to do? And you need to generally stop them from doing that thing. Just seeing 3 off the top of R&D, 4 off the top of R&D on turn 2, like it's pretty expensive and it doesn't actually do that much for you unless you get incredibly lucky. And I think we can do a bit different than that. I have a friend interested in the Cyber Bureau keeping the peace. Is that what you're referring to? Yes. I'd love to hear the community's improvement on the rules on the topic of multiplayer. That's exactly what I'm talking about. I don't know how it works because I've never actually played it. Anyways, huge shout out to submitting this replay. This is really goofy. We went off the rails really quickly, and that's a very hard. I do think there are some Anarch decks that could actually win from this board state. I think there's also chances that you could win on this board state if we didn't go for double Chastushka, which was very, very difficult to do. Yeah, shout out again. This player came from the Cincinnati area in Ohio, and they're setting up. They had a learn to play session just a couple weeks ago. So if you're looking at it, this is a capstone game. So if you're looking in Ohio and you're looking for some Netrunner play, come check out in Ohio because there's some good stuff. Cool. Thanks for submitting that. That was really goofy. That's really goofy. It went very quickly. It derailed to the point that it's very difficult to figure out what's going on. But super excited that we could look at that. Okay, I'm gonna put the AC on because I'm getting a bit warm. And again, that was this past weekend. Yeah, it's already happened. I'm not trying to say like go to it, but just so much more so that if you're in that area and you're looking for Netrunner players, there's stuff going to Capstone happening at Capstone Games. So reach out to the store and they'll be able to put you in touch with the people organizing it. More so that. Sunlight Ribbing, runners should play the matchup and not the deck, but we YOLO through every on-stream game versus PE. Yeah. But we're actually playing the matchup in PE, which is like, get as many accesses so we can get out of here because you can't play your deck. We got an Ohio Netrunner Discord if anyone's looking for players. Oh, perfect. Okay, I'm gonna put the AC on, and then we're gonna go build some Jinteki with some tags in it. Give me 1 second. I'll take the ribbing gladly. We're playing the matchup just not to win. When we think it's P, the matchup is about sometimes just getting out of there as aggressively as we can. We got to send a message because that inflates the P win rate. Maybe that's actually bad for us. Do you like the link mechanic? Is it a good one? I don't think I like the link mechanic. I think there have been some interesting cards attached to Trace, mostly the runner cards, honestly. But link as a mechanic hasn't really existed in Netrunner for a bit in any meaningful way. It's also linked as one of the pain points that some of the best runners in the entire history of Netrunner were always a bit pushed because they had Link incidentally. And that's like a really hard thing to change. Like, would Andromeda, would Hoshiko, would all these options be better without Link and more reasonable? In older metas, when Link mattered, yes, actually a fair bit. Like 419 having a Link makes sense thematically. Hoshiko digitally having a Link makes sense thematically. But the amount of credits you saved incidentally in old metas with things like IP block and like hard hitting news and like CTM actually were very important. I'm kind of glad that Trace doesn't exist. I don't think it works out to be a very interesting mechanic. It's just another credit check on top of stuff, but there are definitely cool ways to make Link matter. Glad there's a scene in Ohio. Wish I had that when I was in college out there. Oh, no, Sophie. Orbital Superiority style beat. If you want to take it with tags, check out Jinsei's latest deck. Let me check that out. I just want to play some Phonotria. Are we being serious or memeing with Jinteki? No, we're doing Jinteki. Should NSG just ban Ganked for good? I think Ganked is potentially a problematic card. I think a lot of people don't enjoy playing into it. It is one of the worst traps in the game. Like literally one of the strongest traps in the game. And as soon as people are playing like Glacier as Mari and then like putting Ganked in that so you hit the Hydra the second time, yeah, congratulations. A trap that makes the runner pay 7 credits or like kind of lose the game in some cases. I think it's a potentially very unhealthy card. I played, you know, Pinel threading into an Anansi. Like, the floor for what trap should be, especially because it fires at 0 credits, is pretty absurd to me. It fires from central servers. It doesn't have to be installed. I do think it's like, it is a very surprising card. And I don't know. Like, I would assume if it said like you encounter a piece of ice, you have to trash that ice to make it fire. Something like a Zato City Grid. Obviously that'd be way worse, but to me, there's just like no good way to play around it. It just hasn't been a problem, but it only hasn't been a problem because people haven't been pushing Ganked, because I think a lot of people don't enjoy Ganked. But I do think it is, it's really cool that we have those weird combo engines. It's just like anybody who gets hit by them is like, Netrunner is silly. I don't want to play Netrunner anymore, and that's probably bad. It's so flavorful though, it kind of isn't. Like, it's not. I think Ganked would be flavorful if the ice hit you was from HQ. Right? Like if it actually came from somewhere. But it's not a Ganked. You just ran in the mid laner again. Like, Ganked is when somebody gets you from outside from a different lane. Like, the jungler is missing for 5 minutes. The top lane went missing. Then they get you. But no, it's just like, oh, you ran back into mid lane. They weren't gone. They were there. You saw them. Why are you getting ganked by the mid laner standing 2 ice down the road? Like, it doesn't make any sense. We have Pigeon Fighter, Sparrow Brawler, Cockatoo Brawler. I want to step away from Puncher. With Tucana, was out of nowhere? Yeah, with Tucana, it is actually a gank. That is very, very true. It is legitimately ganked. That is very funny. The art, I like the art a fair bit. Big old Smaug. What is Jinsei up to with this list? Since he's really where it's popping off, I've played Netrunner in Ohio. I went to Columbus, Ohio once for, what is that, the convention that's in Columbus, Ohio? I want to say Oracle. That's clearly not correct. What is it? Origins, thank you. Yeah, I played at Origins before. It was cool. We filmed it. It's up on the channel. Had a good time. Tagging Jinteki Hypoxia. I don't know if we do Hypoxia. I think we can do more direct ways to win the game. Like, you have net damage. You can just end the line someone, I reckon. 5th place to finish Nationals. Don't know how to say the name. Summer's almost over, and with them, my weekly Nationals voyages too. It's been a wild ride. Okay, so this is a tag-based Jinteki deck on a tag-based trap plan. So very interesting. We have 3 check a Scion. Technically, you know, you can get this on the table. Is this better than Urtica Cypher? Why not both? I think that's interesting. We have a Singleton Gaslight. That's kind of fun. Mind you, this deck doesn't have end of line. So the only way that it can kill is like with enough Mindscapings. Then it gets punitive on top of that. I don't want to play this deck because it's a Mwanza City Grid deck. And like we have our limits here. Then you have Rashida, Reaper, Snare, Spin Doctor. So pretty, the Blow in the Waters are also really fun too. We don't play a lot of these, but like you can get a bit more lethals with this with like Mindscaping to blend the water, which is pretty cool. Fuji, of course. Orbital is one of. That's neat. That's definitely neat as an option in 3 Sting. So a pretty cool agenda suite. I have realized how much Outfit and Essa were at East Ang. I haven't seen the East Ang results. I can't find them. I go to the results page. They're not here. Why? What am I missing? Let's combine net damage and tags. Hey, hey, Jeff, how's it going? Yes. I think I'd rather do something that's a bit more like not exactly trap based. Like I don't think we're doing check a Scion. Like I think we want to do something where we like have a remote server. We can actually play with Daniela potentially. And then we have like what's it called? Public trail into end the line. I think that's kind of more what I'm thinking about. Odoroshi is actually pretty cool in terms of adding like one more ice to like your I don't like to play ice Jinteki trap deck. Odoroshi is not bad because the subroutines are pretty relevant. They are obviously very relevant. At a minimum, they break this for 3 without a breaker though. Is that worth a slot? Honestly, maybe. Yeah, exactly. With Jaguarundi with Phonotria, I kind of want to do that more because we played very little with Jaguarundi and Phonotria. And for what it's worth, Jaguarundi is probably the worst place in Jinteki because people generally strap down a killer before they face check. It should work now? Okay, hold on. I can't. Oh, it's here. Yeah, okay, cool. Cool. Outfit. I would not recommend bringing Outfit to a tournament recently. Apparently, things are a bit different out there in East Anglian. Congrats to Kikai, first the Swiss, first of the top cut. Essa for days. I was told in a comment that the Ob deck that won this is very similar to the Ob deck that we played against last week, which I called on stream a Jeff-ass Ob deck. I don't think we saw any part of it that was like particularly spicy, but it just seemed like the fundamental like kind of rush, you know. I have a Winchester, I have magnets, something like that. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, interesting. I don't know. I feel like the Alpha matchup is so bad into Arasana, but there's very little Shaper apparently in East Anglian champs, which is super, super surprising. S is like, yeah, pretty good. I think S is really good into the Outfit. That's a really hard matchup potentially. So that makes a lot of sense. Into Op 2, it's a pretty hard matchup. So if that's what the top cut looks like it's almost, you know, half of it being Op, I think Essa makes a lot of sense. Essa into HB is, I think, a pretty okay matchup for HB. As we saw in that last matchup, like you have so much control about recursion and you have so many good ways to on tempo put things in remote servers that it's kind of hard, let alone defensive upgrades Essa doesn't deal with well. So I like that matchup a lot, but like maybe that's a really good meta call because this is a very, very kind of homogenous meta there at the top. Kearney using Restore Humanity Mwanza deck, it's fun for me. Lamb Essa won the day. Oh, get out. Super cool. Jaguarande Phonotria, this is the time for Orbital Superiority PE. Celestial, I think it is. I think it genuinely is. I'm not actually sure about the... Okay, maybe not the Orbital Superiority part. Maybe. We'll see how it goes. Why Outfit's bad into Shaper? Because of Clots? Not only because of Clot. So Clot's a problem, but there's a bunch of issues. So like if we say Shaper right now is a lot of Arasana. So Arasana does all her installs at run speed, which means giving Arasana 1 bad publicity, let alone 4 bad publicity, means she can install basically every program in her deck for free. Inherently, Arasana also wins by like getting a conduit down and running a lot, and then making money off of the ice with things like Cuban and Pichachan. So that's cursed. And then on top of that, you have access to Clot. And really importantly, all the really strong Wayland Ice is 6 strength. So like if you're playing, and a lot of decks aren't even playing 2 slap vandals anymore, you can face check freely into the Outfit matchup with a single slap vandal. Because you can go through Valen Chow, no problem. You can go through the worst part of, not really go through, but you can survive Trebuchet unscathed. It is just a really, really, really difficult matchup. Now, if people are going out of their way to play a different outfit, like, I don't know, some sort of rig destruction, maybe not big deal, maybe biotic, some midpoint, maybe there's a bit more interesting things, but like every single angle of attack that Arasana has into Outfit is absolutely super favoring Arasana. Unless the Outfit like draws impeccably and the first Atlas gets to the remote server uncontested somehow, I think Arasana has like an 80% win rate into that matchup. I think it's so damn difficult to win. Op is a bit easier though, because you're not giving out bad publicity and you have op tricks, and op tricks are pretty good. Like trashing your ice with Trojans on it is like doable for op. But yeah, Outfit's such a bad matchup for Arasana. I would not recommend it. It works though, so don't listen to me. All right, let's do some damage. Let's play some tag cards. Let's see what our win condition is. How are we doing on time? Yeah, we have like an hour. We can do this. Collection, standard. I don't know why it's not default. Maybe that's on me. And let's go get some of the cards. The cards we want to play with. We want to play with 3 Phonotria. It says that the runner has more than 4 cards in hand. Tag. If they don't, that's something we can capitalize on maybe. So we'll go for that. Great analysis. Yeah, no, anytime. Other things that we want to play. So we want to have multiple win conditions. We want to have a win condition that cares about tags. So at a minimum, we'll play multiple copies of Mindscaping and try and hold on to them because we can do Mindscaping into lethals. That seems important. Meanwhile, losing my top game versus outfit while draws just don't line up and the opponent draws into big deal 2 Mavirus off the bat. Yes. Yeah, I think it's a big thing with the outfit, and you see this across tournaments. Like, sometimes it looks like the best deck, and then sometimes it looks like literally the worst deck you can bring to a tournament, where it just draws like 2 reg cap and then doesn't draw into a big deal or by like turn 6. Like, it just looks like the worst deck because you have nothing to push into the remote server. You have no way to engender interaction. You're holding there with 2 dead reg caps being like, I really hope I get a spin doctor, and like you just absolutely like, you know, soil yourself. Hey Coke, I gotta go, but highlight Phonotria Prana, really fun face check action. Oof. I'm not a Prana fan classically. I don't know if that's a surprise. But if they face check off of it, we get money. But then we have to protect this. I want to actually score out agendas though. Like I want to push the game. Okay. So what cares about tag that we can play? Agendas, none. Assets, snare. Ice, just Phonotria. Operations, just Mindscaping. Upgrades, none. So we need to go a bit farther to make tags meaningful. As much as Mindscaping, as long as we don't play them for tempo, which they're kind of mid-lane, we can hold on to more value. So let's open our card pool a bit more to see all the cards that potentially say tag. So Maze Amusements, I don't think we need this. We're not going to be playing that many agendas. B1001 Authenticator, no. Behold, we have Snare. That's right. Behold. Cyan Colossus Data Loop. Data Loop is interesting. I don't think they're going to have a tag, so this won't matter exactly. The subroutine almost never matters. People forget this exists here. But this actually does matter to have low cards in hand. That being said, it is just inherently a nombo with Phonotria, so I don't think we want to pursue this. But if we were like a punitive deck, yeah, sure. I think this card's kind of interesting. It has a pretty marginal window of when it does something if you're playing a lot of small agendas, but this is one way to guarantee a tag because people are not playing no free lunch. This does just give a tag, so we could consider this. I think we're probably better off just playing Public Trail and having End the Line as a threat on tap on more turns than just that. Yay! Oh hey, Black Tree tag. How's it going, Dana? Yeah, we're gonna try it just to see what Phonotria and Jaguar Undy do because they seem fun. What else we got? End the Line. It's hard to play 2 of these in your deck. We want to play 3 Spin Doctors, and then that eats into all our influence. So we can maybe play 1 End the Line, 1 Pivot, and that generally gets us, you know, a bit more on our influence spend. Otherwise, other things that we want to play, I'm not actually too sure. I think we do want to try a Jaguar Undy. We'll play 1 or 2. Again, sentries is not great to spend influence on sentries in faction that they're not going to fire on face check, but at least this thing has threat text as reasonable. Threat 4 is kind of hard for Jinteki. I imagine we're going to be playing Fuji's and then we'll go from there. Otherwise, what else do we want for tag punishment? Mad's kind of fun. I don't know what else. Ping's Funhouse. I think those might be a bit too like situational because like Jinteki doesn't have great advantage off of a single tag a lot of times. Maybe the fact that we have all these like tag things that line up, it feels like if we're spending Funhouses and pings, we probably shouldn't be playing Jinteki, right? Like we probably should just be bringing the Phonotrias into NBN, like VSA, right? Like we probably should just be playing those in out of faction. Oppo, I actually don't know if we want to do Oppo. The thing is like if we're on end of the line, maybe we do Oppo. I would argue that playing Oppo out of faction like is kind of really low. Like to me, it doesn't generate an interesting game. It just generates a blowout of a game where somebody gets Oppo'd on turn 2 and they're like, oh, I didn't prepare for this. And then you don't have a game of Netrunner, which like, that's fine. But once you play open deck lists, you might realize if someone knows that you're an Oppo, you might realize that, I don't know, it's obviously a lot worse. So I don't love Oppoing people out of nowhere because I don't think we learned much. We just like kind of, we got them. But I don't know. I don't feel like it's my thing. But if we do like, what's it called? Public Trail, which might make more sense because it's really easy for them to end with less than 4 or 5 cards in hand. So we can do Public Trail into Mindscaping to end the line. That is, I think, is a bit more on, you know, what our deck probably wants to do. Yeah, we'll get the spins in there for sure. P's too poor to play Oppo. I think that's probably very likely. So we can maybe play 2 of these. We'll see how it goes. We definitely want the Spin Doctors. I wonder if we just play 1 pivot and that's enough, like 1 in the line, 1 pivot. We're probably pretty okay of hitting threat 3 on this thing, considering we want to just like score out of, what's it called? Amaze might be good if you're trying to keep them out of House of Knives. Yeah, it's a lot of influence though, right? P can only support so many cards that cost money, as obvious as that sounds. Yeah, that is like a really funny way of putting it, but you're not wrong. Isn't Mindscaping kind of low value without Oppo though? Potentially, but like there's a really big difference that even a single damage can firstly kill runners. All right, like the idea is that they're on 4 cards. We can do Mindscaping into potentially into end of line. Or if they float 1 tag, we can do, you know, Public Trail into Mindscaping. Mindscaping, maybe that's a bit nonsense, but at least this card is playable in more sports states. But we have to invent a situation where Mindscaping into end of line does something, which that might be difficult. Okay, we have to spend no more influence, so let's not. Let's play some of the new upgrades. I think we want to try out Daniela Jorge. She costs 2. She does a cool thing. Additional cost of steal and agendas, so we can get just small agendas on her. It's hard to deal with her no matter how you slice it. We don't have enough money. We'll get to that soon. Other upgrades, like we could, like that's a big thing with Daniela is you could just play Hokusai Grid and have more flexibility on more servers. It might be correct. But I think we're going to do that. I don't think we have a huge reason to play. Actually, Adrian Seiss is kind of interesting because it's on its own a defensive enough upgrade. And if we have other upgrades, that's where Adrian's really good. It's like, do you want to deal with Adrian or not deal with Adrian and then have to deal with the other upgrades? Like it's kind of cool that if you trash Adrian, I think Daniela gets you, but whatever. Other things that we want to do. What's our agenda suite? We'll play the Fujis. Okay. So here with the Fujis, if we want to let it cook, we can do the single Fuji for 3 damage into what's it called? Neurospike, which we'll keep that on our back pocket. Otherwise, I kind of don't know if we should play Blood in the Water. It's a bit difficult. I think we're going to need more money in the deck. Orbital Superiority. Is the runner going to have a tag? We can do like Public Trail into Orbital that does 5 damage. Seems kind of fun. Seems kind of fun. What else are we gonna do? 2 Neuros, probably too much. It might be too much. It's hard to play it off of pivot, but like you can even Neuro off an Orbital. Like there's a couple lines here as much as we don't have Seamless. I wonder if we want to play Lacosta. I feel like that's probably too expensive as much as that is an econ card over time. Viral is fantastic to keep the runner off tempo. Yeah, that's a good point. You don't see a lot of Virals though, because it is kind of expensive. But without Seamless Launch, it's like hard for us to score at 4-2. We can just do Install Advance Advance. They think it's a Fuji. Maybe they don't want to run it. We scored a Viral. They have no cards in hand. Turns off her Phonatria though. That's not good, is it? Hold on. We'll think about that for sure. Yeah, getting a Crim's hand done is like really important. Sting seems nice. Just cards out of hand out of nowhere. That's pretty good. Works with Daniela pretty well. That leaves us on 16. So we can play, like, maybe we just have to play money, right? Figure out your agenda suite before you build your deck. Need to figure out if you're playing advanced shell game, never advance. I think we're going to advance in remote server and let it stew. Because ideally Daniela and then some public trail threat. Knives is important. Knives is important, but it is really expensive to score out. I think you're right, it is important, but I don't think you often see knives in like the sort of Neurospike decks. Well, you do if they're trap-based decks, but it might be difficult. Like obviously this doesn't have a great inclusion in the deck. Like maybe we just do 2 Blood in the Waters in that slot and see how it goes. I think Sting might be better than Knives. The thing is like Knives is actually kind of hard with Phonatria. You have to do it after the Phonatria. Okay, so Rashida, we can play NGO front because we have a remote server. Let's get some ice in here. Hedge Fund, Mindscaping. I think we probably need a copy or 2 of Hansei. Even Regolith and remote server is probably pretty good. Daniela protects everything, right? No, just an agenda or herself. Huh. All right. What's ice? Tattoo Bola, 3x. Nice with phone actually seems like a huge combo. Put them down to 2 to actually threaten stuff. Oh, you're right. If they do go to low hand size. Yeah, maybe. That's not too bad. Code Gates. Atini? I think Atini is a bit more on our game plan than Vampiro Nasa is, because we don't really care about that tempo card advantage. We care about them not having cards. Are we building this like it's open deck list? Like we're obligated to include cards we can advance that aren't agendas? I think we have an incentive to, because NGO front just kind of works with the deck, because we want to force them to run as many board states as possible, because we have like Phonatria and stuff like that. Phonatria has threat text? No, it doesn't even. That's nice. But I don't think we want to play Urtica, because if they don't run it, we can't capitalize on it. Like maybe we can do double advance and then they run it because they know of Neurospike. But that could be tricky. 4th, 3-3-4. I think we need more ice for sure. What else do we want to play? I think Tithe isn't bad. Saisentan, we've already kind of covered that like 2-cost sentry slot that's going to fall apart at some point. I feel like we just could have like some end the run code gate. Like maybe we can get away with just playing a thimble rig. How much ice is this? 11? Probably want to hit a bit more. Why hedge fund? We're going to need some money. We're definitely going to need some amount of money. Right? Like we have 6 cost dice. Probably a magnet. I think magnets kind of died down. We don't even have the influence, but like Tattoo Bola is our, I don't know if you want to call it magnet. It's just like nobody's playing botchless anymore. Hush is an issue, that's for sure. I think Hush is the only thing. If they Hush a Founatria, like, okay. It still does something. White space is a bit difficult. It's not awful. I just don't know if we're going to force them to face check that soon. No spider? We probably could. I'm worried that we're not going to be able to afford it. We already have a spider. We have 3 of them, right? So now we have 4 spiders. This is a Brazilian wandering spider. I don't know. I feel like just having an end the run code gate. Like, I don't know, an Enigma. Maybe we're okay with having a Diviner. It's an option. VSL feels better than Jaguarundi. I think you're honestly correct. I think Threat 4 is a really ugly time for this. I just want to try it out, but I think VSA is actually kind of cute. Especially because we could like damage from hand. That doesn't work. The right thing. I think VSA is like a pretty good card in general. Like, unless they're playing Buzzsaw, people are actually breaking VSA for like 2 credits usually. That's pretty good. This opening hand is sick. Hedge Fund, Tattoo Bola Central, Diviner Central. Next turn we can do Spin Doctor, draw 2. We get Faunatria with a sting behind it. Cool. Questions as to we can draw into the public trail. I think we have something here. I don't think it's going to be amazing, but I think this is like, probably can win games. I don't think it's going to feel amazing until like tier 1 people testing for worlds, but we'll try it. Jin-Tag-i. We'll see. We have a weak win condition. We can score out. We have Neurospike. That's a strong win condition. I'm worried we don't have enough money and enough ice, but that early draw, if we do 1 and feel good about it, we've done enough due diligence. The spider emoji, Dana, that is used on the Restream app is so dark you can barely see it. Lady Liberty, it's really, really expensive. It doesn't really threaten any win conditions. It doesn't work with our defensive upgrades. And like adding a sting to the score area doesn't do anything. Adding a food, like all our agendas have win score text, so we don't actually want to add agendas to score area. Jin-Tag-i. Somebody recently won an event this weekend playing Sable on Swift. And I don't know. I think this was something that was said a bit when the new set came out. Is like Hermes hype has died down. Obviously very important card, but like you're seeing less and less Hermes, which I like, I don't know. That's kind of what we expected to see. It makes it more sinister. It's like really cool to see that, like, you know, even as run based as like, you know, Sable is, and that Sable deck didn't even have info bounty. Loot box and Defonatria make them have 4 cards in hand. You know, how's it going? I think loot box is a lot of influence of which we don't have and is not particularly good. Giving the runner a card in hand is like, it's funny how it plays around the tag thing, but then, you know, they can always take the damage. I don't think our deck, we want to let them draw cards. It's a really funny interaction though. Sable made the cut in East Angst was also in Virtuoso. Wild. Yeah, Hermes is like totally, the hype has kind of slowed down. Orbital seems bad to me. How often were you looking to have a tag instead of looking for your end of line? I don't know. We'll find out. But we only have 1. Ooh, Mercury. Very exciting. I'm going to keep this hand. I think that's a really cool matchup. Because multi-axis can be scary. Letting our ice subroutines fire is pretty scary. But we'll see how this goes. I'm getting tired of searching for the vindication gift on my Hermes take. Yo, Jeff, I think we were on the same page on that one. To be like, I think people are going to learn to play around this better. We've played against Leela. It's doable, and it's slowed down. There's a great bit when the commentators are like, they're complete locked out of servers, and they smash Virtuo to run Arcos and score 4 points. This Keyboard server looks weird. If Criminal gets in-faction acceleration that isn't purely a run engine the second half of the cycle, Hermes is going to be everywhere again? Maybe. I think that's the big thing about Hermes is it's attached to a slot, which is pretty valuable. So the HQ run can be absolutely disastrous. Whether we want to put Daniela on HQ, I don't know. Daniela on the remote server is kind of fine on their own. Because to trash this, it's 2 cards from hand and 2 credits. Like, that's pretty bad tempo loss. I think we're going to respect diversion those. We're 2 sitting here. Oh, get out. That's dope. So I think we want to get this on HQ. We can just do Sting into Daniela. I don't care if they steal the first Sting. We'll do the agenda second just because plays around that Asa mindset. If we score this out, we do 2 damage and we're good. That Sable game was brutal on stream. Oh man, I need to open the VOD link. I was given a VOD link to. Is the VOD link to here on here? Where's the VOD? I would like the VOD, please. The link was shared to me. I don't think I still have it. Not sure if troll or not. No, I don't think so. I think there are 2 people playing. Cool. So we score the Sting. We go down to 2 credits. Okay. Speaking about the Hermes, it's here. So we don't really want to res the Daniela. If we score the Hermes, we go down to 2 credits. Sorry, if we score the Sting. Yeah, I know you posted it, Dave, but I think I lost it. So the question is, here we can probably click for 3 credits. If we click for 3 credits, if they bounce HQ, I think I'd actually just rather do this now. The problem is if they smash HQ, they can trash our snare for nothing because we'll be on 2, and that's not great. But we might get 2 cards out of hand here. Oh, we really do get 2 cards out of hand here. And we don't have to discard. I'll just do it. But like here, they can smash with Mercury. So the order here doesn't matter. Hermes returns one of these cards. Link is on ABR. Just need to click see more. Okay, thank you. Nice. Nice. It's on YouTube. It'll be there forever. 10 hours. Damn. Nice overlay. Cool. All right, HG's wide open. Come on in. Water's warm. We just want the snare to survive if we can. 1 card in hand. We hit, mind you, another Daily Cast and a Bravado. Kind of hard to get value from Bravado in this turn. But Mercury can be very relevant, especially when we're on 2 credits. Because you know, hey, you can't get snared here. Got live card overlays. Was very swish. Oh, nice. Did y'all do it with the like the dodge bong version or figured out a different way? Let our snare live, please. Does Sting kill here? Sting is lethal here. This is actually a risky run. Divider Neurospec. Yeah, Sting is lethal here. I don't know if you make that run. Why wasn't it called to time 10 hours? Right, because Sting does 3 damage. The number of copies Sting in the other player's area +1 plus PE, yeah, that can be lethal. You have to be a bit careful. It's not that you don't play games without taking some amount of risk, but it's probably pretty easy to draw there before you make the access. Our mate Alex wrote a new overlay service, has decent UI, works very nicely. Oh, super cool. Nice. Rashida. I don't think we have a big incentive to do much flashy here. So if they were scared of this on a turn ago, maybe they'll be scared again. We definitely want that Rashida if we can. Earthrise is really good. 6 clickless card draw. Criminal staple card draw. Let's go. Let me see what it looks like. Show me a card. Show me a card. This looks like a GoPro, right? Because it's a bit fish-eyed. Fuji is also lethal there. Yeah, Fuji's also lethal. You're right. It's 3 damage. So we could consider rezzing the Rashida here because they could bounce, trash a Rashida if they steal an agenda. Siege 2 cards. That was Mercury. So they know the card on top of the deck and we lost 1 Rashida. But yeah, you can always res the Rashida here, and I think maybe they'll respect the server 1 upgrade. I'm not sure. But if we bounce the Rashida, we lost our whole turn, unfortunately. Haven't seen a doof so far. I'm excited to check out that stream. Well, I'll put it in the show notes for sure. So what is a multi-access? You don't have a huge incentive to run like Stargate in Mercury. I think you'd expect a Docklands Pass, Awaken Plant, maybe a Twinning, depending on what we see. Because that sort of stuff, Twinning specifically, does combine well with like the Esther Brados and stuff like that. That's a really cool thing with Phonotria. It plays around Inside Job and Boomerang and all that sort of stuff. Because if you pass it, you pass it. It doesn't matter if you bypass it. It still says the word pass in it. And legally, that's how the rules are written. All right. They're thinking it through. What's in the remote server? I think we actually are incentivized to res Daniela here as much as it does bankrupt us if they do run it. All right, just drawing up. Uh-oh, this might be slow. We'll see. First couple hours of the stream are me getting to grips with the tech a lot better around 2 onwards. Nice. Crew here coming down. We do have some barriers. That's often how it is. It's like, don't judge anything by the first round. Judge it by the next round. All right, Sting. I think we're okay with them stealing it. We can consider icing up everything a wee bit, so I think we will. They might be a bit scared to face check, considering we have credits. We have Sice and Tan credits. We don't have credits for anything else. And if we res the Sting here again, we get another bounce we have to discard. So we can always like double advance the Sting, because if they steal it, it has to be Daniela for 2 cards and then Sting. And it's an additional cost. So they can refuse to steal it, which is actually it's like kind of a bad part of Daniela. They can actually refuse to steal the agenda. The card overlay in all its glories after lunch. Sick. Let me check. I would actually like to get one of our ice res so that we have one of our ice resed. Oh, I see it there. There's just Justushka. It's behind my head. Do they animate in? Look at all these nice folks. Yeah, this looks like a GoPro camera, right? Like an action camera. I think they're a really affordable way to get in. Oh, it flips in? Check that shit out. They have the technology. That's really nice. Well done, y'all. Did you have the casters doing all the flips, or do you have production that like does it while people can focus on casting? Because I find it really difficult. What are you thinking about? Would Angelique Sniper be good in this PE? She has a fair bit of influence. I feel like Angelique is like not too uncomparable to things like Hokusai, but I think the big strength if you want to do Angelique Daniela is you probably play Warrior Tracker, right? Because you want to make it harder to trash them. You see, what are you thinking about? Yeah, that's an old joke. I like that one a lot. I was running the overlays as the venue casters were remote. Oh, cool. Can I just say, trying to do live credit trackers ain't worth it? I'd be pretty sure that ain't worth it, yeah. Huh. So they take a tag. Let's bankrupt ourselves to see what this does. This can't be right, but they actually take a tag when they pass the Phonotria. Then we can res the Daniela. And now if you want to steal, it is lethal. You cannot steal this. You can deal with the Daniela, but now if they want to steal it, they have to put 2 cards on the bottom of their deck, so they're on 2 cards, and then the Sting is lethal. Now we don't have money, so there's not much they have to do here. But they literally cannot steal this, and they have to clear the tag on pretty embarrassing economy. Don't tempt me with a good time. Love me some Warrior P. Yeah, no, I think the Warrior P is a bit underexplored. There's some really gross, like, you can leverage Daniela to make a remote server unchallengeable. You can leverage Angelique to make a remote server near unchallengeable. There's still issues with the deck, right? Like, we don't have Obokata, so it feels less unfair. Now, additional cost to steal. If they steal this, they lose the game. Don't steal this. I'm not mistaken, right? But now, because it has an additional cost, it can't be stolen. Warrior P is unexplored? Yeah, in this meta, it's underexplored. I don't think anyone really has brought it to a tournament. I saw one at Ken Hats. But like the only time that it's shown up was at the last. They lose, right? I think the only time that we saw that recently was in the old meta when you still could play the Doctor. Adrian plus Warrior is basically just Caprice. Yeah, that one's fun too. I think they die by stealing this. Am I wrong? Like this does equal to the number of copies in the other player plus 1. Yeah. I don't know why they did that. All right. GG. Maybe Steel Skin? I'd be super surprised to see Steel Skin, but hey, we just saw 5 influence on a Logic Bomb. They didn't have to steal it. That's very important, is that Daniela introduces an additional cost, and you can refuse to steal additional costs. I think you opted into that. Yeah, they chose to flatline themselves, which is unfortunate. They're playing the PE matchup. Maybe they forgot your ID. Maybe, but like I don't think you steal a Sting to go down to 0 cards in hand. But yeah, PE did a damage. Daniela did 2 damage. Sting did 2 damage. So not enough sinking. Or not exactly. Gotta find that SSN. Thanks for the game, eh? All right. Well, that was about to be a long game, so I'm glad we snuck out of that, I guess. Catch your end. Yeah, it's hard. It's like Mercury has some interest of, I don't know actually. Like I don't know, honestly know if Banner is a real card. I don't think it is. But yeah, Logic Bomb, if they're playing multiples, you know, that is a lot of influence very quickly. All right, let's give it another shot. The steel skin criminal we've been looking for. You sometimes seen that, like maybe a meta or two ago, is that some criminals would be like, I don't know whether to play Diesel or steel skin. I'd argue that Diesel is probably better in more matchups, unless you think a lot of the meta, and for a while, like with Keeling, you know, face checking into PE was a bit difficult. But yeah, I think you'd rather play Diesel most of the time. There's not enough damage in the meta for that to be good. Saving the credit's really important. Okay, Nat, that's fun. Not gonna have a lot of cards in hand. Blank Carphonatria. I think we played against, I'm not sure if it's Dead Pixels, but playing that just like late game, I'm gonna rush out to get my Breaker Suite down. And we actually have lines against that. Thanks, you too. As much as I don't love that list. Opening hand, not particularly good. We could do Phonatria, put a Fuji on the table. I'm gonna mulligan. That's a bit better. But I'm not worried about pressure. I just think generally this deck is just trying to get its like Turbine Breaker Suite. Maybe we'll get blown out by something. I'm not actually sure. I think we're just going to do Rashida credit. Or sorry, Rashida double hedge. There's a chance that like they can die turn 2. Like if they run and we do public trail into end of line, they're dead because they want to be in less than 4 cards in hand. We could win on turn 2. Nat's good with low cards, but Jinteki, I know it is really difficult. But like I think if Nat goes down to low cards, like public trail into end of line is just good game. Oh man, this, I think we win. Oh, 4 cards in hand. We don't win. They didn't want to get Nat's ability, which, yeah, natural advantage. I wonder if they saw the Mindscaping there and like, oh, maybe we should keep cards in hand. Okay, well, we have a Blood in the Water. That's fun. So we'll do new remote. Server 2. We just have to understand that at some point we will just win to public trail end of line if we keep it right. So we don't have much to do here. Not enough clicks for them without threat. Oh, you're right, because it's a triple. Yeah, yo, Ba, how's it going? It's a triple. We need to force the issue. We need them to steal a Fuji. Could still want to be drew Mindscaping and end the line together. We'd have to actually naturally draw. Cool. They didn't run. We can't public trail. FFG ask card. Buzzsaw got trashed. That's fine. It's good to get a 3-2 Blood in the Water. We just turned on Nat. We did them a favor. We gave them a credit. All right. Snare wins here. This is a really risky access. Fuji killed there too. That was, oh, I guess they could have paid 3 credits. So no, not exactly. They paid 3 credits. Is a card in your hand worth 3 credits? There's no way. Okay, well, your whole hand is worth a bit more than 3 credits apparently. Oh my, wait, hold on. Hold on. Public trail. Mindscaping. No, we can't flatline them. It's fine. Not as bad. Would it be playable 2 credits a turn? A lot better, yeah, but not interesting. Would it be? They can pay 8 into trail? Oh, you're right. Yeah, they have credits. Like, and they're just going to rush through their deck. That's all the deck does. Sets up. Oof, missing on the Gachapon entirely. They have to install stuff. They don't have a lot of options from hand. But we see 2 Steel Skins, 2 Laborites. That's what the deck does. It just grinds through the deck. I think the thing with this deck is like, would you rather be Lou? Maybe. You have 40 card minimum. Second Gachapon. They died to 3 net damage next turn. Actually, they have to prevent all of it. I'm happy them spending 9 credits. Buzzsaw comes down. Okay. The other option is we can just advance this and then set up next turn with the pivot, which I think is what we do. We do pivot into, oh no, it takes 3 because we have to do pivot. We don't have threat. Oh, we will when we score it. Yeah, we're fine. We can do advance. Because they have to deal with a lot of damage. They have no cards in the deck very fast. Yeah, they kind of speedrun it a bit. So here we can do 3 damage. They have to protect a fair bit of it. So I think we just do nothing. Cody, how's it going? We can put a sting on the table, I'm pretty sure. Because if they don't deal with this, we do 6 damage. They'd have to protect a bunch of it. Access here, kind of dangerous. We want them to steal points. They trash a Rashida. Going back. I think we're going to be frustrated that we're not going to be able to kill them because of this. I think Caldera, I think we should have had our window. Okay, Pivot Blood in the Water. Oh man, Pivot Blood in the Water is such a cool play. I think we want to wait though. I think here we do score and we see what they do. So we'll do the P damage first. Because of the steel skin, it's less likely. No, we want to do the small damage into the big damage. It doesn't matter, does it? It actually does matter. So they can prevent. They paid 3. Okay. So they're on 3 credits. So we can now do public trail, but we can't kill. I think we need a fauna tree and R&D, but I love that they're single accessing. Spike. We can spike, but it doesn't kill them. It takes 3 cards out of their hand. Trail their Caldera is probably right. The deck has 2. A pivot for Neurospike is not lethal. It puts them with 1 card in hand. Like, I don't think we want to do that. Like, I think we just do public trail, trash the Caldera. Yeah, I like it. Weird interaction where we forced them to spend credits first. Get out of there. I think the deck has 2, though. It is virtual. We haven't seen one. But we're down to 2 credits, which is pretty rough. We can't even score at the Neurospike. I think the way that we win, though, is we pivot into Blood in the Water. That's probably how we win it. As weird as this matchup is. They need to clear the tag, too, right? Okay, they have 4 cards in hand. So it's a 4-2. Okay. We have our work cut out for us. They have to install a card from hand. Shouldn't be too hard. I think we just need click for 3 credits. We can consider getting the fauna tree on R&D. I think if we res that, though, we lose the game. I'm okay with them hitting R&D here. It's unlikely that it wins them the game. Okay, if they get down another Caldera, we're in a pretty rubbish spot. Now they're keeping cards in hand. They know we have a Neurospike. If we get the Sting, they're on game point. I do think the chance that we win is pivot into... Oh, that seems important. P first. Okay, they're on 3. They can win off a single axis, right? Potato, click those credits. You click for credits a lot of times. It's totally fine. If they install a card, they lose. And Paladin's going to show herself out if they don't. But this is close. It's close. We got Caldera'd. You need that with low hand size. Okay, so Paladin's probably going to show herself out. Maybe get rid of the Buzzsaw. Okay. So we score this. They lose 2 cards. We can hope R&D holds. We're on 2 credits. We can't fire a Snare. Snare is like game winning. I don't think they run that now, so I don't think we matter. I think we just Mindscaping up. Yeah. That's a brick. That is a huge brick. Do we advance this? I think we advance this once. It does 3 damage potentially. We could also double advance this. If we double advance this, we're in 5. Then next turn we can do score neuro. We're short on credits. We know R&D is safe. If they run HQ, they have a 1 in 5. That's fine. I think we advance this once at a minimum. We could always put this Atini here. Again, they break it and then they win. That's not good. This is where, like, you know, Fuji doesn't have text anymore. I'd rather them run R&D than HQ. If we advance it again, we can do advance. Yeah, let's do it. Is there a reason Sting has a black agenda points area? I'm not sure I know what you mean. Oh, it was just an Ashes card. And the Ashes card, the formatting is different. But yeah, you're right. The symbol there is black. No, it's just because NSG didn't have that all sorted out yet. I think we throw that out. I think having ice is actually pretty relevant because they don't have icebreakers. And installing cards takes cards out of hand. But if they ever go down to 2 cards in hand, we just pull a Blood in the Water. So I think they're respecting it. I think if we prioritize getting down with the Caldera a bit sooner, this is hard, right? Couldn't you have credit neuro that turn in 1? For Neurospike, we have to score it in agenda, right? Oh, that's really bad. That's a good reason to run HQ. We could lose off a single here. But Neurospike, like, we have to score out, right? Fauna Tree, nice. My theory is that Sting, because it's an evil card. I'm pretty sure all the Ashes agendas, or at least the Uprising, if that was that, had black points. Like, the templates are slightly different as the cards evolve. System Gateway, I think, is where they got into their stride, and then they changed the card backs. Aggressively playing around that. Okay, so now we have to get the Fauna Tree on HQ. We know we're top decking something. Playing the Steel Skin? Oh, it came off the labor rights. Okay, that's fine. Too bad you don't have the credits to double Neurospike. It wouldn't be lethal. But yeah, I think we leave that now, and then we just like install this double credit, because we cannot let Phonatria happen. You're one card from lethal. It depends on where the Steel Skins are. They shuffled one back. So we haven't seen any Steel Skins removed from the game. So there's a bunch. They're definitely holding a Steel Skin in hand. But this would have been 2 damage. This would be 3/4. So it would be far from lethal, right? Sorry, this is 1, 2. Yeah, it'd be 4. It's definitely far from lethal. Top of R&D is unknown here. Next turn we can do it. The thing is, like, it's pretty difficult because we have a bunch of instances of 1 damage. So, like, that is unlikely. We need them to steal a Stink here. If they steal Stink here, I think we have a chance. You'll be 2 credits from the play. Now we're good. Now we do 3, 6, 7. VSA into Buzzsaw feels bad. Huh. I think we leave that. It clearly looks like a failed trap. Diviner's pretty bad as well. The more we draw, the more there's HQ pressure. Okay. If you score a single spike, you might hit all other Candela next thing hits for 3. I think if they have a Caldera, they would have installed it by now. So I don't think they're going to end a turn with the Caldera. They're probably going to find it with the Gachapon if they're on 2. But if we do that, HQ is open, and they definitely run HQ if we're less than 4 credits because they know we have a Faunatria. They also might use this to find a killer. I don't know what the killer in the deck is. Simulchip? What does that get? Cleaver, Buzzsaw? Nice. If we resin a teeny, they can't break it? They can't break it. They have 1 click left. There is a right call here. They can't break it if it's in a teeny unless they get like something with the Gachapon. This could be wrong. How much money do we need to kill? We don't have a kill. So threat text means that they have to take the damage here. Unless somehow Simulchip can do something. We also can't res Daniela, which is a bummer. We're 1 credit short. But here they can run this and then maybe run Server 3 and win. Whoa, hit an Odori, the Twinning and Turbine. So they don't have a Steel Skin. So we actually could win. This axis is kind of risky. We don't have credits to res anything, though. Ah, hate to see it. We're short on credits. We are just short on credits. Daniela stays. On game point, Daniela, doesn't matter. Okay, 3 cards in hand. This does 3 damage, right? You win with your Sting. It only does 3 damage. They have 3 cards in hand. 1 credit short to pivot Blood in the Water. With 3 cards in hand, we can't even, right? Because it's a 3/2. Yeah, we win if they don't draw, but they obviously draw there. There's not much else they have to do. So I still think we chase Steel Skins a bit. Like, we need to click to 4 so that we can res the Faunatria Threat Snare. So, like, we're in a bad spot. We just win? I don't think so. How do we just win? Did I miss something? This does 3 damage. They have 3 cards in hand. We can't Neurospike. It does 4, but after Steel Skin, this does equal to the number of copies in the other player plus 1, so it does 3. Because it does 2 because of the text, and then 1 because of PE. Yeah, it does 2 to the text, 1 because of PE, right? The number of copies in Sting in the other players plus 1. So that'd be 1, 2, PE is 3. They had 3 cards in hand. Okay, so Odori they'd have to Simulchip in. They have 5 cards in hand now. Our window is basically low hand size Sting to something, so we have to hit connect with a snare. I'm gonna go for this. It's risky. Believe in the snare. Yeah, snare opens us, so it's important that we keep money here. They know one of these is a Phonotria. They know the second one's probably a Phonotria. Unfortunately, the third sting is unlikely to be relevant. We like that they're playing cards. They might face check, but they have to like trash their buzzsaw to get the Adori. Like Simultip is really interesting, but we haven't seen any other programs that they can easily forfeit. Oh, there's a Caldera. I think we lost. They didn't run this turn. We got a Spin Doctor. This might be what we need. We still can like maybe have an end game here. There's 3 stairs in 20. They will run out of money. Stack of only 6. Yeah, I know, but with the Caldera, they can just click for credit so we don't advance the board state. So we will advance the board state. Yeah, we're going to lose the Caldera, right? Like, NSG doesn't make cards like this that just say, you know, turn off win condition. Do you score the sting now? Not really. I think it's maybe. It's hard to like do the neurospec. We want to score the sting at a point where they'll consider paying for it. The plan is to run them through a teeny bunch of times with NGOs and score it. Yeah, we actually have to run them through this, which is good that we have NGOs. Yeah, I guess we go on cards back. So we'll do public trail for sure. They have to respect that. Now that's back. And then I think we'll just do hedge fund or Rashida. I think it's more important that we have money up front because we have to res all areas and have snare. But yeah, now we have to run them. Adori from hand. Okay, so now they actually break Phonotria for 5. Okay. More like 5 Natria. Score then sting and Sol advance at 4-2. Yeah, here I think we score the sting. We just want to get cards out of their hand. So we can advance and score this and see what they do. We'll do the PE first, I guess. No, sting first. We want to hit a steel skin here. Cleaver and labor rights. Steel skin. Okay. So they're on 4 cards of hand with the option of 2. They have 4 credits. If we do a Neurospike, we pay 3 to drop them 1 card. We can also trade 3 for 3. We can also do an install advance on this server. I think we just do install push now. How many labor rights are out? 1. Oh, you're right. We have to worry about labor rights endgame. 2 labor rights out, which is exactly where they want to be. So we can maybe do install a superiority advance push. I would love to have an NGO frontier because I think they can push this here, right? They have 4 credits. It's an Atini. Actually, with Atini, it's kind of hard for them to deal with this. They would probably just like trash their Adori for what's it called? A turbine. And then they break this for 4 credits. They can afford to run if they trash their Adori for a turbine. It's a hard call because obviously if they call it right, they win. Fuji also doesn't matter. We could consider like hitting them with a Neurospike. The problem is as soon as we do that, if we install, we can't really advance. But we can get them down to like lower cards, and that means we can potentially win off the pivot. But this puts us on 2 cards. I'm going to go for it because I think our margins out here are pretty low. But if we should have done that a bit faster. Aiden, the 2 newest sets are on the way to me this weekend. Try some of the new identities against my friend. Hope your day's going well. It is. Thank you. That's super exciting. You got the newest sets. I take it you ordered directly from the NSG folks, or you might have printed them out, but they're really, really good sets. So on 7 credits, we can't res an Anansi. I think there might be some fear here. We're also not on Anemone. The deck probably should have Anemone in it. I think that might be really important. Why do we not have Anemone? Right from NSG. Nice. There's a line that they run this. Because, like, again, Daniela doesn't matter. They know that they can get through Zatini for 2 credits. The question is if there's a barrier here. And even then, they know they can get through it because there's only 1 unknown ice. So this is pretty dangerous. Anemone doesn't tag. What do you mean? Yeah, Anemone would be pretty good, especially for this like weird late game. But like, this is not what we were expecting. We against Caldera, we have some options. Yeah, I do think they just run this. We're in a bad spot. Pinhole to check. Yeah, we lose. Daniela doesn't matter if they have 2 cards and they hit the agenda, right? Oh, hold on. I should have res Daniela. Hold on. Sorry. Maybe I should have res that. No, that's fine. Because I forgot we can res her. She has text. As an additional cost of trash, the runner adds 2 cards from their grip at the bottom of the stack. It doesn't matter for PE, doesn't matter for anything. It might make them play around Anemone. But inherently, they run this for 4 credits. Yeah. If they don't have 2 cards, they can't steal because it's an additional cost. I'm going to res it, which means that they have to respect if this is Anemone, they can't run the server. Oh, no, they can. They just have to pay for it. So this is a bit sus because we can't res the Atini, but if we res the Atini, I think their line is just like simul-chip for the thing. For the turbine, but they might not run here. Yeah, because she does protect herself. She's not exactly the sysop that we wanted. Like, sorry, she's not the movable sysop. She has different sysop text. They don't lose the cards. They get bottomed, but that is cards in hand this turn. Ooh. So now they can't steal. We win. Oh, wait, no, they trash Danielle. We lose. Yeah, we have to have an Anemone there and they can pay 6. So if it's Anemone, we do win. Blood in the water threat? Yeah, but we lost. Good game. A teeny threat text blocks Caldera prevention. Oh, you're right. Yeah, it does. It totally does. Yeah, this is the line that we were talking about. They just do this for 2. So that's game. Good game. It didn't matter what agenda we jammed. GG. Yeah, Caldera is really hard. I think that's a nightmare playing against Caldera because we can't do anything. But it's, yeah, that's not a great matchup. What could we done to get out of it? Jamming an NGO. If we jammed an NGO and they did all that and it's just an NGO, we're actually pretty okay. Because then here we can pivot for a blood in the water. So we just needed to jam something advanceable that wasn't an agenda. Thanks for the game. Yeah, it's weird how the text on this does block prevention. I don't think it's going to be implemented on JNet. But yeah. Low hand size. Still couldn't get it. Still couldn't get it. Okay, let's try and get some anemones in there. Never drew the NGO. I think we might have drawn 1. But yeah, that's what we needed to do. I don't think we should have pushed that turn. I think we should have waited for a grind. Because we were getting close enough to a grind. It just depended if they did nothing and clicked for credits. We're in a pretty bad spot. So we'll drop the Diviner and we'll drop the Thimble Rig. They seem whatever. We'll play 2 anemones, maybe? Anemones? I feel like the deck doesn't have enough economy to feel the tempo. So that matchup is different, right? Because like we had to go through 2 of our different win conditions and we had to pivot to a 3rd win condition. If there's no Caldera, I think they would have played differently, but like we already had enough money to win, right? Like we had the advanceable Neurospike. So I don't feel bad about it. I don't feel terrible. We had a good econ start though. We also, snare didn't come into play, and I think a snare has a huge impact on that. YouTube says you're playing Bioshock Infinite. I wonder how it got there. My internet went out and I have 6 points on my agenda to score in a turn and now I don't get my satisfying finish. Oh, David, like watching the game or playing a game? Your JNet stats are going to haunt you for a bit now. PE deck has too much ice. I think there's a chance. Like every time that we drew ice, we felt bad about it. So maybe we want to cut some of the ice and Hansei, but I do think most of the ice that we drew in that matchup was like all buzzsawable. So yeah, probably. I think we are building a scoring remote server, but it's like mid-range scoring server. Like we just need Phonetria Daniela. So actually maybe we want more Danielas. Less ice and more money. Biosting Snare Finite. Hey, it's Aaron. If you draw Orbital early, does the deck install and advance it? Has no reason. No, Orbital's pretty bad. Let's be honest. I don't think it's going to do anything. I think it's pretty bad. Spectrum decided not to finish my match. All right. Aaron was playing Sable at Cannats. She almost made the top cut. I think she was the top placing criminal. We saw no criminal at Cannats. We have incentive to Ice HQ, of course. We're holding a Fuji. We're holding an NGO front. We can keep this hand. How's it going? Data Loop and Daniela seems rude. The problem is like Data Loop is anti-Phonetria technology. So I feel like we don't want to do both of them. It's going all right. Best of luck. Have fun. Spelled that accurate. Okay, here we want a better ice for HQ. We'll take a teeny on HQ. Okay, so we can leave R&D mostly open. We don't have economy. I think we will Mindscaping just early. Just set up our, like, that seemed good. So we can just go ahead and put an enemy on top of the deck. We'll ice up HQ after playing that. And we know R&D is safe, so at least the mark is not risky. R&D is the mark, so you can still see value off of that for sure. And we can even just like install NGO Joe front on the table and see if she likes traps or doesn't like traps. Orbital makes more sense than Mitosis Shell. Yeah, but then how do you give a tag, right? Dunch, how's it going? This seems fine. Nice. Nice. Archives. Free 2 credits. Seems good. Can't complain. Oh, even more money. Rashida, we want to ice up everything. Luckily, we have a bit more ice in this matchup than we might expect. Okay, well, we can't ice. Let's start here. Let's find some ice. Draw 4. Phonetry on R&D is perfect. We can put a hedge fund on top of the deck. It's safe there, right? So we'll do R&D. Sting in the remote. We'll score that out. We don't have to play around Hermes. That's good. And so now we have a fork again. Action. Archives Market is a click for 3 credits. Functionally depends because you have to pop the bankrolls a bit sooner. I guess you wouldn't. You'd pop Penny Shaver. But yeah, this is a good run. This is what criminal economy looks like. I'm fine. How are you? I'm doing well. Thank you. They cut off our water today because of construction, not because of any other issue, which is, you know, a bummer. Okay, we'll just get this cooking. We had 2 cards from hand, so you saw the Unity respect there to get that down. Hit a Kurapira, so the Tattoo Bolas might be unchallenged unless there's a killer. Or sorry, an Amakua. Maybe she's on 2. So NGO Front is something nice to jam in their remote server. It's technically better than the Hedge Fund. I'm not sure we're going to see aggression until we find a Carmen. The good stuff and then Unity SMH. I know, you can play Shibboleth. Maybe you play one of each, though. One for early game, one for late game. Still no mark, but a lot of money. VSA, very good into Unity. So we'll do Archives, Server 1 Advance. If we had any threat piece that goes around the Fuji, we would score it, but we actually could consider jamming the Fuji behind the Anemone, and then if it's stolen, we can probably just blend the water or something. We're also hit a Nuka, which, like, that's a lot of card draw potentially for the criminal deck, let alone burst card draw, which is super nice to have a Diesel on the table that's safe, that you use it when you need it. But now it's all about the Carmen. Yeah, mutual favor for Carmen coming down. Is the 3rd NGO better than the Hedge? Yes, because it forces runs, and then she has to, like, spend money. Didn't run it. Did not run it. 4 cards in hand. So we're going to draw once. We're going to advance. We want a second piece of ice there. So now she'll face check centrals. Atini is really good into Unity. Phonetria is just in a comfortable spot. VSA is going to show the tagging hand sooner than later. So we can just pop this and do install advance. I think that's actually fine. A spin doctor on the table means that we can find another piece of ice. That's probably a bit more important. Fuji Slam? I want to get a second piece of ice before we Fuji Slam. Because I want punishment. Yeah, like I want a Daniela. Snare in hand is good. I think we might see HQ pressure now that we have these breakers. We're going to actually see the mark being ran. So, ooh, what do we keep here? Daniela's server 1? Yeah, I think that's fine. We can get rid of one of those, I think. I'd pop NGO and then double advance the 5-3. That actually might be correct, right? Like, we haven't seen a diversion yet. That's the only window, the pressure here. But I wonder if we want to wait for the Fuji until we have a... What's it called? A Neurospike. But that might be correct, actually. I think with the Daniela, we're going to feel a bit better next turn. The thing is with Daniela, you can just run back. Which is a problem with Daniela. If you need a taxing remote server with Daniela, otherwise they just trash it, run back. Or don't trash it. I guess that's the same. We'll put back... Face down makes her think that there's less agendas in HQ. That might be worth something. I think we'll just take a hedge. She didn't make a successful run. Sting is good. But I think we Fuji Slam here. We'll see what happens. This is a lot of damage potentially across a couple cards. As much as we don't have the Neurospike. Sable didn't have the trash credit the spin dock. I know, but Sable gets the double bankroll. Yeah, this is what we're worried about. At least one of these subroutines will fire. We can either go down to 11 or we can go down to 5. We'll go down to 5. I've been playing a lot of Crim. The Breaker Suite, honestly, is the worst part of the faction. The run-based economy isn't that bad, and Nuka is easy and poor to draw, but Kurapir is unplayably bad. I don't think Kurapir is unplayably bad. I think there's a lot of low-strength barriers. It's just like, you don't deal with Sandstone well, you don't deal with Brawn well. But eventually. If the subs fire, you just win? Yeah, it's boomeranged. Let alone, she has a lot of money. Shib hurts you endgame when you're already weaker than Hosh. I agree. I think Shibboleth's endgame feels really, really bad. So you need some sort of support pieces, whether it's like Takobi, Leech, Cheswa.
Oh, sorry. And threat is not online, so you can just, yeah, pay for that if you want. She paid. Okay, we're in 5. Okay. So we can score out and drop her to no cards in hand. Is that correct? I don't think it's correct. I don't think it's fine. We need to get the bankroll to be popped. Otherwise, it's too much economy. Like, this is the best econ piece in Criminal right now. It's doing really well. If we top deck Neurospec, we just, like, straight up win. Oh, this is nice. This, mind you, is the mark, so the tag can be cleared clicklessly, but we'll res the Phonotria here. So 4 cards in hand. You can always let 2 of the net damage sub our teams fire, but it looks like we're not, so we're going to take a tag here. We're going to get a click back. Snare? I guess so. Hit a miss bones, a Dockland pass, and a gamble. Something like advance, then advance, score, blood in the water. Yeah, we can continue to advance this. We don't really have a lot of money to do it. But this is interesting. Uh-oh. Cheese win. Hello, I would like to order a cheese win. 1 win. Full of cheese. GG. Oof. Fuji and remote, yeah. On top of Daniela, in front of, I spelled that bad, in front of Anemone. So a bit tricky. Yeah, that's what happens. I don't know if you feel good about it, just being like, aha, end of the line. Shu could have cleared the tags, but if Shu cleared the tags there, I think she dies to Fuji. So like that actually was a legitimate fork. Yeah, tell me about it. Right? Like, okay, so she ended with how many cards in hand? 3. So if she didn't draw and clear the 2 tags, we flatline with Fuji. But if she doesn't clear the tag, she dies to end the line, which that abstractly represents like what the deck is trying to do. And that was a really good, you know, fork, as much as that was, you know, out of our control. Thanks, you too. Wild. Really cool. Yeah, we added Fuji end the line. We actually did have a real fork there, but we did draw the 1 up in the deck. That's 4 influence. And pivot isn't online as much as we could have afforded to pivot. We can do credit pivot. Actually, no, we can't. We couldn't even have pivoted. We had to have the end of line. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, accidental fork for sure. Cool. That works. That feels okay. I feel like the ice felt good, but that's because we're playing against criminal, where if you can stop the criminal aggression, you stop the criminal aggression. Let's do another one. What time is it? I have a lot of video stuff to do today. We've been streaming for a bit. This might be the last one. We'll see. 4 influence well spent, even if the fork is fork. It's a fork, but with a knife in it, right? Like it's a Jinteki fork. House of Forks. House of Forks. That's a good stream name, actually. We need to rename this stream. All right. Ghost Smurf or someone who doesn't want to use a name in general. Ken, run events. HQ Ice. Rashida, opening end of line. Can you ask for a better hand? They also have, they spectated our games, so they know what we're up to. Hey, thanks, you too. Nork, 5? R&D snare fork is what you include the card, even if you rarely are rich enough to PE to use it. Yeah, just the snare thread is like pretty reasonable with end of line. It does every single condition that end of line cares about. All right, so jailbreak R&D, I think we're happy with that. I think Tattoo Bowl and HQ is totally fine, and then we just do this, even though we can't afford it. At least this looks like it's a play. Look at us, we're Ace Group. Always charge the remote server, dies to Saisentan. Dirty Laundry, bad start. Lost to Kurapira, okay. Nothing. Just an agenda. Yeah, we really need to get this out of the deck. This is not doing anything for a win condition. Hermes, rough. Class act, very good start, as much as they lost maybe their only fractor. Okay, we need ice up R&D. Should have planned out the turn a bit. I don't mind eating an anemone, but I don't think we actually res the anemone into Spin Doctor. So the Spin Doctor is probably a bit too late this turn. Daniela, we can put in server 1. If they deal with it this turn, they deal with it. Yeah, I don't like this. Seems like it's way too much work to do something. Honestly, the 4-2 that virals their whole hand might be a bit more interesting. Carpe Diem. Mark was HQ, so just click for 4. Nuka. Good start. Shibboleth. Not too bad. Sentry barrier. Here we just want to get a 5-3 in their remote server. Throwing out an inside job. We have to play around multiple inside jobs. All right. Let's get something going. Okay, server 1. Click for a credit. If they run this Natch, They probably can't because of Sai Santan, let alone Anemone Respect. Biobands, nice. Draw 2, install for sure. Biobands is really good in Ken. It feels really, really good. It's like nice to have this like 1 credit card that draws and installs. It's like everything that Criminal can't do on click compression. Oh, second Kurapira. Okay. That's a problem for diversion. They're actually on 2 of each breakers. That's not common. I'm surprised in Ken because Ken a lot of times the slots go really quickly to all the like 50 run events you have to play to feel good about it. So you don't often have slots for 2 of each breaker. Dirty Laundry. Unfortunately, Ken was used this turn, so this is just 3 credits. Mutual Favor. Revolver. Nice. I feel like we feel okay about that. Now, if we score at the Sting, right, like HQ is wide open, we could get diversioned. I don't think there's a way to deal with that. So we're going to Mindscaping so we don't have to worry about R&D, and then we'll get a second ice on HQ, or we won't. That's also an option. I don't think we want the Fuji. Whatever card we get rid of, we actually get rid of it here. Because we can make sure that we shuffle before we draw. We can advance once. We can also put a Danielle on HQ, as weird as that is. So it's Faunatria, which is 2 credits and 2 bullets. That's pretty expensive. But that's a pretty aggressive rig. It's a minimum viable product. Let's just see what this does. We don't actually need more money. Why is it Crim tends to be the faction with 1x breakers? Things like Boomerang and Amakua. It's that and the fact that they have mutual favor. So like Anarch decks don't have a way to find their breaker. They have no tutoring pieces. The best they have is cards like, you know, Gachapon and or Strike, what's it called? The Price. So like you have an incentive to run multiple breakers, let alone that faction has ways to generate value out of having extra copies of cards. Like moshing, again, the Price, Gachapon, stuff like that is totally fine. So because they don't have any consistency to find their pieces, they generally just play more copies of it. In Criminal, you don't often do that. Oh, right. I forgot we had that. We probably should have drawn there or shuffled. Reminder to spin before Mando. Thanos, with the 6-second delay, you gotta say it a bit sooner. That's on me. I'm not gonna pretend that's not on me. I see like 1x mutual favor in these deck lists though. I think people are a bit greedy on that and they're hoping that like inside job and that gets them a bit further, but like, I don't know. I think mutual favor is pretty good right now. There was a while that mutual, like there used to be when you played Criminal back in the day, a long time ago, you played 3, the mutual favor equivalent back in the day. That's not so much the case anymore. I think we're just going to credit and throw out the Fuji. So there's 3 points out of the game. Crim also has tools like inside job. Yeah. They have other ways to pressure early, right? Like you have to worry about diversion, through remote server, obviously Boomerang, inside job. Not that Boomerang's that popular, but you can get by. And then, of course, you have Amakua if you really want it. Advance NGO over click and credit. Oh, yeah, excuse me. Too late. Yeah, because that is a tell. But yeah, we should have definitely advanced this instead of clicking for credit. It makes the board state more interesting as well. But yeah, we just lost a credit because it's advanced for 3. This is a cool pinhole. Unfortunately, they're going to get a whole board state worth of information. So we'll put that back. I think we'll put the NGO back. It's a more interesting card for us. I know that much of a Netrunner baby to not know special offer. Honestly, Eric, I don't remember the name. I thought I was going to call it express delivery. I struggled with the name. But yeah, back in the day, it was like 3x special offer, 1 of each breaker, and then like a femme fatale. But back in the day, like the equivalent to diversion of funds that used to exist back then was so much more powerful that a lot of time was click 1 run HQ. They would res like an Enigma if they had whatever ice in HQ, and then you would just do like special delivery or special offer, and then you just like account siphon because it was so much more important back then to get a run as soon as possible. All right, 1 Sting down. This allows us to repair the board state. Special order? Yeah, it's special order, not special offer. You see? Neither of us had it. They lost a Carmen to the single damage, and they lost a Boomerang. Those are really good hits. Okay, so I think we put the Faunatria on HQ. I don't think we need more money into the Kurapira. And then we'll get Sting in the server. We'll go from there. Back in the Crimagus Andromeda, aka 9-card mulligan. Yeah, also back in the day, you did have a 9-card mulligan. So you found your breakers with some consistency. You did also have cards like Mr. Lee that's all, you know, marginal play. Which allowed you to do something like draw 2, bottom 1. It's like class act, but bad. So like Criminal has good card quality draw. They just don't have quantity draw. Ken is likely to be running Maker's Eye. I don't care what happens to this agenda. Somebody's going to score it. And then we had Leela before she was baked into a console. The version, nice. Okay. So we have to figure out what to do here. Tattoo Bola, we don't have a swap, so we don't have a huge incentive to res this. If we res the Phonotria, though, we go down 9 credits, so we're on 3. We can still res the Anemone. I think we want to do that. This also gives them a tag, potentially, which, like, they have to worry about that. Unless they take 1 damage here, which they probably should be. Special offer is a card. It's an NBA Ice Trap. Yes, there's like express delivery, special offer. There's a lot of cards with a very similar name. Fire All? Sick. Miss Bones? Pinel. Okay. So we're going to go down to 3. That's enough for the Anemone. Which means they actually can't run this. Draw. Makes sense. I think we're going to score this one out. I think we are. We could leave it, right? Because in theory, we could do 4 damage if we do a sting. But I think with Hermes, we just can't be greedy. So whatever they bounce, we just repair it. Ideally, they don't bounce the HQI. So they do. I don't think we put it back there. Yes, there's definitely a reason I did that. There's also the reason I do know the name of the card. We'll do Sting. It's just 2 damage. Bravado, Chesva. Chesva's a good hit. That's a lot of money. And again, this deck has no money that doesn't seem to be interaction-based. R&D, credit, can't ice it. Or can't res it, excuse me. Second Daniela is actually kind of interesting, but it looks like they want nothing to do with this one. With 3 credits, I think you could be a bit aggressive here. We can't fire Snare. They're down to 20 cards, though. They have a 4 damage, 0 credit trap in the deck. It's a nice ace in the hole. Yeah, exactly. The last thing we want them to encounter. Oh, they have 19 credits. We drew a public trail. Oh, woe is us. I think here we can actually afford to click for 3. If that's the case, though, we kind of like ditch a card. We'd want to avoid doing that. So we can put a Spin Doctor in a new remote server. That's bad. So I think we do Spin Doctor, draw. Okay, and then we can do credit, and we can carve our hand a bit. So what do we want in our hand? We have a win condition potentially here. We need them to spend a lot of money if we want to do public trail on the line. And they know what we're playing. So I think they're going to, play around that. They don't have to do anything quickly. Jamming the Fuji behind the Anemone into the Daniela is like technically a line. It is abstractly a line we could have. I'm worried about the next diversion now that we've gone to 5 credits, but Tattoo Bola will say something about it, as much as we don't want to fire the swap because then they have money to steal. So I think we'll get rid of the public trail. And I think we'll get rid of the Phonotria because we're not anywhere near resing that. Rip special offer, best op card. I was never special offer pilled. Okay, so here I think we actually do res the Tattoo Bola and just don't do a swappy. We don't do a swippity swappity. Right? Like, I don't love diversioning when they can res ice. They can go for an Axis, but I think we res this and we just don't swap. Because if they go from 3 to 0, it's a pretty expensive run. Like, they have to take a tag here unless they take... You have no ice. Thanks, bud. At least let me come to that conclusion. She was HQ money that I swap? Yeah, and that would be bad because then they can diversion us. Took a tag. Like, this run was 2 clicks. It was free for credit, but they have to pay 1. They had to pay 2 bullets and 2 credits. They have to have a tag, and they only take 3 credits away from us. Like, it's right that like getting rid of Jinteki's economy is important because their traps don't do anything. But that was a very expensive run. Yeah, Ren, the prompts a lot of times in the newer set is like hilarious. They're all like lowercase. There's no punctuations. They're like rock on. They're very, very goofy. Whoever did them on the prompt should be, why are you even playing this ice? Ooh, that's bad. Or is it? Okay. Well, we can lose here. On 0 credits seems safe. We just talked about how that diversion wasn't great, but they're feeling happy. Second class act. Sick. Okay, we've lost. A second class act coming down right there was perfect. So all 3 diversions are accounted for. The 1 card that survived was a class act, which is a click for 4. Yeah, we're kind of cooked. We are kind of cooked now. Again, probably should be on House of Knives and not Orbital. I want more stuff to put on Daniela. I can't. All right, we're not doing much here. Jin-Tag going through his teenage years. All right, Mystic, they have an incentive to play an event here. Oh, technically, yeah, they did float a tag. I forgot about that. Not that we had the credits to do anything. But yeah, they know that we're on end of line. Maybe you wouldn't be surprised, but Phonotria seems playable on its own. But yeah, they know what we're up to. R&D Carpe Diem, 2 credits, not much we can res here. They can win off a single. Campfire Snare. Good game. So we were not able to like aggressively push the remote server, so our step doesn't do anything. Thanks for the game. 82. Feels bad. How do we get out of this hole? I don't think we do. I generally don't think we get out of this hole very easily. Like we had maybe a window there for like pivot into Blood in the Water. If they didn't have the class act, we could have pivoted into Blood in the Water. I think no, we had no money. But yeah, that's really hard to recover from that. Value into line, they had 19 cards left. Yeah, but we had 0 credits. Yeah, I can't do it. Yeah, they just sat back and didn't run until they did, which was right. That's, I think, an issue. I think like if you have 10 yellow, you probably need to be constantly jamming to have some sort of threat. Yeah, I do think like Orbital Superior obviously is a brick. Even if we had a 1-pointer here, we would have lost. But this doesn't do anything. Don't run the 4-2 tag meat agenda? Yeah, probably not. Probably not. We're also like, I think we might want to play 3 Neurospike because I do think we're producing setups for Neurospike, but we're just not finding the Neurospike soon enough. Maybe versus Doofhammers, you keep a Mindscaping in hand just to escape a snare on top. Yeah, but then we can't afford it, right? Like if we escape a snare on top of the deck, they generally don't run the deck. And like if you're playing Mindscaping for an economy card, it's like only slightly better than clicking for a credit. It's not amazing. If you hadn't dumped your ice, you would have had them diversion of 5 and kept 2 credits. Yeah, they would have more money and we'd have 2 credits. If we had 2 credits, it didn't matter. They had 4 cards in hand. Maybe it changes how they play, but I don't think it was huge. I do think though, like keeping the Phonotria was probably correct on the basis that like we got their Carmen and they only had Revolver. So they only had so many more breaks left. So like genuinely taxing out their killer was probably a line worth, it turns on snare from 0 credits. Credit Mindscaping. Yeah, it does. You're right. It does. But I wonder if we should, like, I don't want to play Celebrity Gift. I think just playing Hansei and having like better economy. I think Orbital has merit as a card, but you have to be able to leave it on the table ready to score. Yeah, you need to let it cook. I think it's the sort of card that like I'd rather play an NBN sooner, right? Because like, I don't know. Sometimes people don't run this stuff. The problem is like, how do you give them a tag? If they floated tags, there's probably better tag punishment agendas in faction. So I don't honestly know. I don't know. It's like the sort of card that you ideally want to play with a shipment from the Disperse, right? Because you're already tagged and then you can score it in hand, so you don't have to do either of the risks. That seems reasonable to me. Because if they're not running, how are you giving them a tag? And if they're not running, that's the only way you can score it out. So it's a bit of like a catch, 22 to some extent. It's hard. It's really tricky. Anyways, that's it for a stream. We'll be back on Thursday. Jeff is going to join us on Thursday because we're going to be playing some Eternal for the first time probably ever. So I have to figure out what Eternal is. We'll have a video on the channel tomorrow. It's Kyle playing a B1001 deck versus, I want to say, I need to ask. I think it's Dan or is it Thomas? I think it's Dan. That'll be up tomorrow morning. From then, again, we'll be up on 3 videos a week from that point forward. We'll have another stream next week as well on Tuesday, but after that, it's going to be Worlds. So get ready for that. Thank you so much for streaming. Great to see. Alan, thanks so much. I'm glad you appreciate it. Thanks for the kind words again. Oh, yes. Speaking of this, Kokoro is saying, thanks for the stream. Yes. Mind you, if you're going to Worlds, I don't know if I have time to set up anything really fundamentally here, but if you're going to Worlds and you're considering playing a Crown of Servers and you're missing players on your team because you don't know enough folks, it's your first Worlds, you need to find some person who's a sicko who plays Eternal or Startup or Standard or something like that, let me know in the comments. We have a couple players I know that are looking for people to join teams. For instance, like Kokoro in chat, who is a strong Startup player, is looking for someone on his team that he can play Startup. So let me know in the comments. If you let me know, I can let Cody know. And then maybe if you're looking for a teammate, that's a nice way to do it. So if you're looking for any, even if it's not like I'm looking for exactly a startup player, let me know in the comments. And then hopefully if people are reading this that are going to Worlds, we can use that as a jumping off point to be like, hey, use this to be like, oh, find out someone who wants to find a team. Because I think usually on the day of, you can still go there and be like, hey, I'm looking for what are they called? A free recruit. And you will find people, but it might be nicer that you can ahead of time figure it out. So hit me up in the comments if that's the case, then we can do some matchmaking. Keep getting stage fright playing you on stream. Oh, do it, Elwin. It's like really fun to do it because either like, let's talk about it. Best case scenario, you destroy me. You feel really good about that. It's a fun stream. I get upset. Fantastic. Medium case, still pretty good. You get to play against me. Hopefully a nice enough person. You get to watch the replay. And watching the replay is one of the sickest ways because it's very hard to have a situation where you can see your play and what people think of it, because generally when you're playing against a stranger on JNet, you're not going to hear their side of it. So understanding how you're doing, whether we say like, oh, this is a good play, this is a bad play, I like this, don't like this, like it's super valuable. And right, like at the end of the day, if you win or you lose, it doesn't matter. Like none of this matters. So don't worry about that. The world stream will be up on the NSG Twitch. Yes, it should be up on Null Signal Netrunner. This is the Twitch channel, if I'm not mistaken. Not Null Signal Games, which is a different channel. That's it. We'll be back on Thursday. Take care. Ciao.